Aaron Goldsmith, Brian Baldinger. Gentlemen.
All right, Rob, thanks so much. What a gorgeous day here inside McLean Stadium. The first ever homecoming to this brand new on-campus facility for the Baylor Bears. And welcome to the Fox Sports College One football pregame show, sponsored by the Ford F-Series, built for Tom. Absolutely gorgeous afternoon as the newly ranked number 13 Baylor Bears take on the Kansas Jayhawks. So glad you're with us. Aaron Goldsmith alongside Brian Baldinger. And Brian, for these two teams, both had an extra week for a week off following their recent games. And, well, for Baylor, it has been a lengthy extra week off. They suffered a tough, disappointing loss in West Virginia, so their hopes of an unblemished season has come to a close. Meanwhile, Kansas looking for their first win on the road and their first win in conference play. And the man to really keep our eyes out for today, the trigger man for the Baylor Bears offense, it is Bryce Petty. He's been on a historic pace in his brief 2 years.
Yeah, and it's nice. If you're going to bounce back, Bryce Petty's the guy to do it behind. And he's had a good season. Not a great season. I mean, they're averaging almost 50 points a game. You can't argue with that. But the last time they played against West Virginia 2 weeks ago, completed less than 50% of his passes. They thought they left a lot of points on the board. And so they sat him down, they talked to him. They want better production from Bryce Petty here down the second half of the season. And really for Kansas, they have led by what I think is the best middle linebacker in the whole Big 12, Ben Heaney. I saw him 2 weeks ago against Texas Tech. He was magnificent. He had 21 tackles. He had an interception. He's the captain. Heck, last year against Baylor, he didn't play. So this is his last chance to see the Baylor Bears. And Baylor, who likes to run the ball a lot, you'll see a lot of Ben Heaney in those tackles here this afternoon.
He'll try to keep Shock Linwood, the best running back in the Big 12, in check. Should be a fun one today. It is Baylor versus Kansas. It's homecoming here in Waco, and kickoff is next. A lot of anticipation here in Waco as the Baylor Bears take the field. It is homecoming and a gorgeous day here inside McLean Stadium. Fox Sports 1 college football presented by Kay Jewelers. Aaron Goldsmith alongside Brian Baldinger and our entire Fox Sports 1 crew here at Central Texas, number 13 Baylor taking on the Kansas Jayhawks. And this is a brand new facility that Baylor is very eager to show off, and a man who played in the old stadium last year, Floyd Casey Stadium, Bryce Petty. And Brian, we've talked about Bryce Petty. He has a chance to continue to climb the all-time ranks in Baylor passing history, a man who was very patient to get to his role as a starting quarterback, but under, well, Art Briles and, as we see here, Clint Bowen, the interim head coach of Kansas. This is a man I know that you're really rooting for, and a lot of people in Lawrence are as well.
Yeah, I am. I mean, he's a Kansas guy. Played there, married a Miss Kansas, has been assistant coach there. And really, he needs some success. He needs a win. Now, he's got his work cut out for him against the highest, most powerful offense in all of college football today. But I think he has a pretty good scheme here to try and slow down the Bears this afternoon.
Art Briles from West Texas has helped build this program and has helped to build this magnificent facility. Of course, he and Robert Griffin III really helping to put Baylor on the map, and the job that he has done along with his staff, many of whom he has had on his staff since he was coaching high school football here in the state of Texas.
Well, there's nothing about the state of Texas that Art Briles doesn't know about, and Ben Heaney, who did not play against Baylor a year ago, wherever the ball is at the end of the play, Ben Heaney will be there. I never see him come out of a game. And those Baylor fans will be on him today, but he'll love it.
Kansas won the toss. They just defer. Meanwhile, Baylor will receive as they are fired up here in Central Texas for homecoming. The Baylor Bears and the Kansas Jayhawks. Trevor Perdula does the kickoff duties, and he also handles the punting duties for the Jayhawks. Matthew Wyman handles field goals and extra points. So the punter, Perdula, will be kicking things off.
Yeah, special teams will be huge for Kansas today. If you're Baylor, you should expect any kind of a fake, any kind of deception. Kansas is looking to try and play keep away from this offense as much as they can this afternoon.
Corey Coleman back deep for the Bears, right at the goal line. And he'll be stopped at the 20. And Brian, when Baylor has the ball, what are a few things we should keep our eyes out for?
Well, we have mentioned already, Aaron, this is the #1 offense in college football, averaging almost 580 yards a game. And so they are powerful, and they're led by the leading rusher of the Big 12, Shock Linwood, who's averaging almost 100 yards a game. And for Kansas, trying to slow him down is the senior middle linebacker, Ben Heaney. And no, that is not a Halloween costume. That's a full-grown beard by a full-grown man manning the middle of this Kansas defense.
The Duck Dynasty beard.
Yes.
Shock Linwood, the running back, in the backfield with Petty. And they'll start on the ground with Linwood. And there he is, Ben Heaney, right off the gates, but not until Linwood picks up a gain of 5.
Well, we know Baylor likes to play fast, and they have a new right side to the offensive line. In there at right tackles, Pat Colbert, and Jarrell Broxton is the right guard. They've had some injuries over there, so we'll watch them today.
Completely retooled right side of the line as Hillard down for the rest of the year, a wrist injury. Troy Baker at ACL. Baylor first 2 plays on the ground. Bryce Petty leading this offense for the 2nd straight year. A guy certainly with NFL size, 6'3", 230. Petty continues to work out of the shotgun. He's from Midlothian, Texas, only about 75 minutes north of Waco, and he goes to the air here. Caught, but not much of a gain. As KD Cannon, somebody that, Brian, if you can hold KD Cannon to that short of a gain, that's a big deal if you're the defense.
Well, especially, I mean, on this little bubble screen right now, watch Sendish come up here and make this open field tackle. The safeties will be in conflict for Kansas today. Is it a run? Is it a pass? A lot of play action fakes. That was an excellent play by Sendish to make that open field tackle on the sensational freshman KD Cannon.
That's a big deal, a 3 and out on the first possession. Isaiah Johnson back to return at his own 30 for the Jayhawks. Spencer Roth, the punter for the Bears. Johnson signaling for a fair catch at his own 30. Brian, when the Jayhawks have the ball, what are 3 things we should know?
Well, they're not a real powerful offense. They've only scored 13 touchdowns in their 7 games so far. So they're looking more production offensively right now. And you have to start with Jimmy Mundine, a Texan. Not far from here, got about 20 family members. He's had 2 good games with Cummings at quarterback. And then you have to look out for the oak tree. Sean Oakman, the right defensive end at 6'9". That reminds you of a young, too-tall Jones that played for the Cowboys for 15 years.
They start with Tony Pearson in the backfield, listed as a receiver. He spent some time as running back as well, though. And here is Nigel King forced out of bounds. And Brian, for the Jayhawks, Michael Cummings, a recently new quarterback, the guy who's always fought for playing time for the Jayhawks, but Montel Cozart now on the bench, and Cummings now the starter.
He's gotten better every week, Aaron. He came in West Virginia in the 3rd quarter and started Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. In those 2 games, they've gotten better offensively.
This time they hand to Pearson, who has a nice hole and gets it close to the sticks.
And Tony Pearson is an interesting guy because everybody that watches Kansas football knows that he's an explosive playmaking player, whether running back or receiver. He just has always had a hard time staying healthy. The last time against Texas Tech 2 weeks ago, he had a neck stinger in the 2nd series and missed the rest of the game.
And suffered a season-ending injury last year, concussion problems against the Red Raiders, and that caused some panic, as you can imagine, back in Lawrence. 3rd and 3. Jayhawks first possession after forcing a 3 and out for the Bears, and a flag.
Ball start, offense, number 78, 5-yard penalty. It's 3rd down.
That's the right tackle, Larry Mazak, and I tell you, this is my first time here to McLean Stadium, and this is a loud place. The fans know on 3rd down to start making some noise, and they did, and I think it affected the right tackle. He flinched on that play. I don't know if they ever had really a crowd, home field crowd at the old Floyd Casey Stadium.
And so much, of course, part of that seating section was almost always tarped off until the very end. Last game or 2. 3rd and 8, pressure, and it's flipped to nobody.
That was the tackle, Andrew Billings, who forced Cummings out of the pocket along with Bo Blackshear. A great penetration right up the middle. So Cummings doesn't have time to set his feet, and there comes Billings, number 75, the sophomore from Waco. I think he's the best defensive tackle in the Big 12. I don't know that you'd get much of an argument from any of the coaches that watch him week in, week out.
Levi Norwood back to return this one, standing at his 25. Cardula barely gets it away. A booming punt. Angling towards the sideline. Trying to find some room. And knocked out of bounds. Victor Simmons forcing him out of bounds. A punt of nearly 50 yards as Baylor will try to get their offense going at 3 and out on their first possession. Bryce Petty and the Bears offense coming up. Bears getting ready for their second possession, but right now let's check in on the sidelines with Leslie McCaslin. Leslie?
Well, Aaron, Baylor is becoming known as wide receiver U, and this year they have another talented group. In fact, Bears offensive coordinator Philip Montgomery called it the deepest wide receiving core that they've had here. Oddly enough, they've been without several of these guys because of injuries during the season. But the silver lining is that deep wide receiving core has now become more experienced. Now they have all their guys back, and they've had 14 different guys catch a pass for Baylor so far this year.
There's another one.
And on cue, tons of room down the sideline. Does he have enough speed? Corey Coleman dashes into the end zone on the first play of the drive. 72-yard touchdown strike.
In this spread offense, and here's Coleman coming back for the ball right there. Sendish misses the tackle, and that's what you have when you spread the field sideline to sideline. He walks right down the tightrope. He's as far to the sideline as you can get. No pursuit can get there, and just like that, in a blink, Baylor's on the board.
Two very opposite series for the Bears. A 3 and out, then a one-play 72-yard touchdown pass to Corey Coleman. Chris Callahan puts the extra point through. And for Bryce Petty, his 18th touchdown of the season, his 51st in his brief 2-year career. And the Bears are on the board first. Baylor went 3 and out on their first possession. Their second possession, Brian, 11th play. Corey Coleman down the sideline, 72 yards. They made it look pretty easy.
Well, what they did was, I mean, if you miss a tackle in the open field against these receivers, and Leslie talked about wide receiver U, they make you pay. And that's exactly what Corey Coleman did. His first catch last week against West Virginia was a touchdown as well. And Bryce Petty, he'll take his 18th touchdown pass of the year. One thing about Bryce Petty, his completion percentage is down, but he doesn't throw interceptions. He's thrown 3 this year. He threw 3 all last year. He's be sure where he's going with the ball.
Chris Callahan kicks it away. Corey Shepard fielding it. Trying to find a lane to run to about the 30. And right now, let's go to Greg Wolf for a Lowe's Never Stop in Between Game Break.
Nice, thanks. We got a top 20 Big 12 battle going on in Morgantown. Number 17, you down 13-0 early, and Trevon Boykin connects with Deontay Gray. 47-yard touchdown, but the Mountaineers still lead at 13-7 after 1. Aaron Baldy, back to you.
Yeah, that Trevon Boykin, what a turnaround he has had at TCU. And, of course, just 3 weeks ago, Baylor saw all of Trevon Boykin they wanted in that 61-58 shootout that Baylor won in the final seconds.
Pearson once again lining up in the backfield. And a loss on the first play.
Well, they ran into the oak tree. Sean Oakman, the area is right here at the end position. He just stacks the left tackle, Lewandowski, right there, sheds him, and he's there to make the play. And there's a whole lot of NFL scouts that are looking at that 6'9", 280-pound right defensive end here at Baylor, who is getting better and better with each game that he plays.
That was Corey Avery who handled that handoff. Cummings to the air, and incomplete right by the 30. Looking at time for Nigel King.
Pretty good break on the ball right here by Ryan Stewart. Free safety. He was right there in position. He's got 3 of the 6 interceptions on this Baylor defense, and he almost had what we call just a pick 6. Interception, return for a touchdown if it hung on to that ball.
It's a younger secondary for the Bears than they had last year, a couple of departures, but incredibly athletic defensive backfield for Baylor. That's Pearson motioning out. Ball's on the ground, and can Cummings come up with it? No, instead it is Sean Oakman. Oakman's second fumble recovery of the season. And when you're 6'8".
Well, let's look at the snap by Gibson here. Looks like he snaps it a little bit early and it's low. But nonetheless, Michael Cummings' job is to field that ball. It's low, but he has to catch it. That's where it all starts. And so this has been a disaster of a beginning for Kansas. You do not want to give field position to this Baylor team. They are looking to get that bad taste in their mouth from that last loss 2 weeks ago in Morgantown, and they're looking to put Kansas away early, and they've got field position here.
Already in the red zone. Here is Chafin. Has some room to run and gets taken out at about the 10.
Well, Baylor always has a stable of running backs. Now, Chafin hasn't been healthy. He's been suffering through a high ankle sprain, but he's had 2 weeks to get ready here. And you can tell in that last run, the way he lowered his shoulder, he's got power at 225 pounds.
He's the power back, no doubt about it. Give it to Chafin again. This time he runs into Michael Reynolds.
You remember last year Baylor's offense, the best in college football, the Lake Seastrunk and Glasgow, and they had it all going out. It's different guys this year. Linwood, Chafin, Johnny Jefferson healthy. We'll see number 2 in there as well this afternoon.
Now this would be a huge stop for the Jayhawks. After the fumble recovery by Oakman. 3rd and short for Petty and the Bears. They hand it off. Chafin goes for the end zone, and he's just shy.
Right over that new right side of the offensive line of Colbert and Broxton. Good push by Pat Colbert that time, the right tackle caving in the right side of the line.
And off to Chafin, and he leaps in for the touchdown. It looks like we've got a flag.
Defense, number 24. The penalty is declined. Result of the play, touchdown.
Well, this is the start that Bryce Petty and Baylor desperately wanted, and it's not what Ben Heaney in Kansas probably talked about over the last 2 weeks. That is the freshman class of Baylor in their yellow T-shirts with the front row seat.
And Chris Callahan shanks it off the upright. It will stay at 13-0. Sean Oakman recovering the fumble on the snap that was mishandled by Michael Cummings. And that helped to set up a short field. Didn't take long. Devin Chafin was able to dive in from just a yard out. 13-0 Baylor first quarter. Well, tonight our full day of college football continues as Stanford battles Heisman hopeful Marcus Mariota and the 5th-ranked Oregon Ducks on Fox. Then on Fox Sports 1, Texas takes on Texas Tech, followed by 17th-ranked Utah squaring off against 14th-ranked Arizona State. Coverage continues tonight on Fox and Fox Sports 1, and of course streaming live on Fox Sports Go. 13-0 Baylor's. Aaron Goldsmith, Brian Baldinger, and Brian, we've seen touchdown drives of 11 seconds and 1:04. We have a new kicker kicking things off for Baylor as Chris Callahan removed of his duties, at least temporarily, after missing that point after trying a big hit there. Kendall Ehrlich with a massive hit after a return of 20.
Well, Michael Cummings has got to settle this entire team down. I mean, if you're the quarterback, you're the leader. This is his 3rd straight start right now. He just fumbled the last snap. Right now, 6 plays, no first downs. A bad fumble deep in their territory, down 13-0. Can't look at the scoreboard, have to be able to put together a drive.
Starts on the ground with Pearson in the backfield. Of course, Cummings from Killeen, Texas, only about an hour southwest of Waco, and he's someone that's always fought for playing time since he's arrived in Lawrence. Cummings now playing for his 3rd coach in 4 seasons. Started the 2 previous games for the Jayhawks, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Against the Red Raiders, 2 touchdowns, a pick, threw for just over 230 yards. On 2nd and 8 to the air and forced out of bounds quickly. And find Pearson that time.
That's Taylor Young who just made that tackle. And Taylor Young is a guy that got a chance to start with the injury to Avion Edwards, and wow, is he taking advantage of it. Had 12 tackles a week ago, 2 sacks, been their steady blitzer right now. A guy that may not give that job back the way that he has played.
Another 3rd and long for the Jayhawks. Pearson, the motion man. First down for the Jayhawks. Here comes Avery down the sideline and finally forced out of bounds. A huge gain for Kansas.
Really nice play dialed up by John Reagan, the offensive coordinator. You're going to see in the backfield right now, here's Avery. He's just going to slip out the backside. All the action goes left, and Avery has a little spot screen, and Baylor lost their eyes on him. And Avery, who's from Dallas, right up the road, right up 35 here, makes a big play that kind of flips field position. The first down here for Kansas.
It's a pickup at 36. Avery, a true freshman, a 4-star recruit. The coaching staff in Lawrence was thrilled when Avery decided to commit. Baylor showed a lot of interest, as you might imagine. Kansas to the ground this time. Some tough yards there.
It's interesting, Aaron, you mentioned, Avery from Dallas, Cumming is from Killeen, Jamae Mundine is from Denison. I mean, 24 players on this Kansas team from the state of Texas. Big recruiting area here for the Jayhawks if they want to really begin to turn things around.
Pearson picks up 5. Jayhawks inside of Baylor territory for the first time today.
Offsides.
Offside. Defense, number 11, coming into the neutral zone, causing offensive reaction. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Well, we just mentioned, what Taylor Young has done. He's been Phil Montgomery's blitzer a week ago, blitzed a couple of times, got a couple of sacks off of that, and he was just trying to get a jump start on that last blitz look.
You saw it there, so many penalties. Really a historic number for the Bears in their last game in West Virginia. Deep fade towards the end zone and caught for a touchdown. The Jayhawks are on the board. A connection with Nick Harwell from the Houston area, Missouri City, Texas. He's now caught a pass in 38 consecutive games. That time a 28-yard touchdown hookup. And Kansas on the board here in the first quarter.
Well, it was man coverage on a little switch route, and well, I tell you, Cummings laid that ball out there perfectly. 4th touchdown pass now in the last 3 weeks for Cummings, and that looked like a Baylor play, the way that he threw it and led Harwell in that touchdown.
What a pretty pass. Matthew Wyman for the point after. So 13-7 now, and Kansas channeling their inner Baylor right there. They picked up a lot of yards, and they finished it off with a strike to Nick Harwell.
Well, Michael Cummings throws a touchdown pass to cut Baylor's lead to 13-7, and here's how it happened. It was just man coverage. Here's Colin Brent's the linebacker, and here's Nick Harwell. They're just going to run just a little switch route, little wheel to the outside here to Harwell, and Brent's going to get caught in man coverage. Harwell gets a step on him, and Cummings threw an absolutely perfect throw, and Michael Cummings took a hit from Bryce Hager right there. He never saw the completion, but he heard the crowd, and he celebrated just the same.
Big play there for the Jayhawks. Ardula kicks it away back to the end zone. Here's Devin Chafin. Take to the 20, gets to the 30, and gets tripped up.
And the man for Kansas who tripped him up is down on the play. You can't see his number here, Aaron.
That's Derek Neal.
Derek Neal. Yeah, next just a freshman defensive back. Not very big, only 155 pounds. He went head first to flip the returner on the play, Devin Chafin.
Well, special teams have been such a problem for the Jayhawks, and he came up with a timely tackle.
Let's take a look at Derek Neal going down. He leads with his head right, takes that left knee right to the helmet. I mean, gutsy play by Neal just to throw his body in there. But it's always concerned when you see a team like that, Kansas, all on one knee right here. And hopefully we're going to see Derek Neal begin to move here.
Well, as anybody who watches football at any level knows, head injuries taken so seriously, and not the first time that we've seen a knee to the helmet like that. And this time around, Chafin running with a full head of steam, and then added to it as well.
Well, you know, there's so much progress being made in how to tackle, the heads-up program led by the NFL, and Derek Neal right there, his head was down. He hit the crown of his head right on that knee. For all the young kids watching, head be up, see what you're hitting. That's always what a Clint Bowen would be teaching his players as they all look on with tremendous caution here.
Derek Neal from Dallas being intended to will step aside from Waco. Well, they've brought the card out for Derek Neal, who was hit in the helmet by the knee of Levi Norwood on the kick return. And they will have to take him off the field. Derek Neal, a freshman from Dallas. No doubt, as Baldy mentioned earlier, for so many of these Kansas players from Texas, today's game really a meaningful one in so many ways. It's a homecoming for the Bears today, but a homecoming in many ways too for a number of these members of the Jayhawks team. And some concerned faces there as they hope that the near fate of Derek Neal is not a good one.
Well, you know, we always talk about teams as families, and they truly are, as much time as they spend with one another. And so you can see the entire Jayhawk team kind of just surrounding in support of Neal. And as we have learned, you take every step with all the precaution you can as you make sure that he's lifted properly, strapped down properly before he can be taken from the field. And so these measures and precautions, high school, college, pro game, I think everybody's got this part down.
And Baldy, what's it like as a player to see a good friend, a teammate, a guy that you've obviously spent a lot of time with, a guy that very well could feel like a brother, go through this, and then of course you have to continue playing a game. There's still a lot of game left to be played
right
today.
now. You're not really even thinking about Baylor right now. You're just thinking, you know, about your teammate right here, Derek Neal, and you just hope and pray that he's all right, and that we're going to see him at halftime and everything's going to be okay. Even right now with all the precaution, just want to see the thumbs up, the okay signal, and once you get that as a player, then I think you can really turn your attention back to the game. But Baylor as well. I mean, Baylor's got their guys down the knee. I see Levi Norwood over there for Baylor. His knee is down. I mean, it's really the whole atmosphere. Basically, you take concern for the player first.
Now, Levi Norwood fielded the kickoff and really had a nice seam down the sideline, but then it was Neal who came up with the tackle, but unfortunately Norwood's knee collided with Neal's helmet, and he was down immediately. And all of a sudden we saw all of the KU players taking a knee as well, and this is a good sign. Now that is huge.
Oh, wow.
Up on his own 2 feet.
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe they were going to be strapping him to a board. They don't have to do that. So I think now everybody can kind of take a breath, relax, kind of refocus here, because it does stoppage of the game. You kind of break your sweat, and now it's back to the task at hand.
There you can see Clint Bowen, the interim coach for Kansas. And good to see the movement for one thing, but good to see him sitting upright.
Yeah, I think everybody came by and just checked with him right here. Just a freshman from Dallas, so perhaps some family visiting the young freshman right here. Like I said, he's only 155 pounds, but the one thing that they love about him is just how aggressive he was. We saw that with the tackle, kind of fearless going in there to make that tackle on the returner, Levi Norwood. And you'll get really a round of applause from everybody in McLean Stadium, and that's a good thing.
You can see a lot of folks from Lawrence, like KU supporters here, and Waco. Good to see Devin Neal standing up, sitting upright, and now being tended to. So here come the Bears. They've already scored twice today. Corey Coleman touchdown, a long touchdown strike. Devin Chafin 2. Baylor's the second highest scoring offense in the nation, averaging nearly 50 points a game. And a first down on the first play of this drive as Shock Linwood chews up some yards.
Well, I think we're seeing that Baylor, as much as they're the highest powered offense in football a year ago, this year #1 in that regard, they'd like to run the football, put a tight end right behind the offensive tackle.
Linwood picks up 11. This time the ball batted down.
That's a forward pass. Incompletion. No, Bryce Petty, so many decisions he has to make on any given play, whether it's play action fake, decide if it's going to be a run or a pass. I mean, it all starts with his decision making.
This time they hand to Linwood. Linwood averaging 5 yards a carry last year, a freshman All-American, averaging nearly 100 yards a game. Was held to only 69 yards on 21 carries in that devastating loss at West Virginia.
Yeah, and they lost their right guard and the right tackle in that game, and I think that affected a little bit of the run game.
Linwood 4 carries, 23 yards so far. 3rd and long for the Bears. Petty getting some signals from the sideline. Now moving Linwood to the other hip.
Prior to the snap, first charge timeout, Kansas, 30 seconds.
Clint Bowen wanting to talk things over here. Was the defensive coordinator for the Jayhawks and then promoted to interim head coach. And while we take this moment, we'll take a game break. We go back to our Fox Sports 1 studio and Greg Wolf. Greg.
All right, thank you. Over in the SEC, Florida, and #11, Georgia, the Gators. Fake field goal. Michael McNeely, the holder, brings it in from 21 yards out. The Gators all tied up with the Bulldogs 7 apiece in the second from Jacksonville. Aaron, Brian, back to you.
All right, Greg, thank you.
One of the great atmospheres in college football, Florida, Georgia, the big cocktail party going on at Everbank Stadium there on the bank of the St. Johns River in downtown Jacksonville.
That's one that gets circled on the calendars early every year. Petty, 3rd and long. They hand to Linwood. He's got the first down. He's got more. Linwood finally brought down by the 10. A huge gain from the 5'9" sophomore from Linden, Texas.
Well, just running a little power O, pulling the left guard Blake Muir that time, and he opened things up for Linwood.
Linwood again. This time not as much room. That previous play was a gain of 39.
Well, what they do here is they spread you out with those dynamic wide receivers, and then they try to see like who's left to handle the run game, and if you're not in the right gaps and the right fit, all of a sudden they break off a big run on you.
Stack 2 receivers at the top. Petty to the air. Fade, corner, almost intercepted. Wow. Looking for Goodley.
Dexter McDonald one-on-one on the coverage on Anton Goodley, and you're right, almost an over-the-shoulder catch by McDonald, who leads Kansas with 2 interceptions. Really good. This is just straight man coverage. I think you'll see Kansas today manning the outside receivers, Goodley and Coleman, with Shepard and McDonald most of the day.
Another 3rd and long, this time an empty backfield for Petty. There's 1 touchdown pass today. Send Goodley in motion. Petty tucks it. Can he get the first down? And it has been on the spot. It might have been brought down just a hair shy.
Ben Haney saw Bryce Petty break the pocket. He came running, went for his outside leg. Petty made a miss, bounced right off him. You know, Bryce Petty is 235 pounds. I mean, he's a full-grown man back there, and even a guy like Haney, who leads the Big 12 in tackles, can miss a tackle on a guy that size.
So Petty gets just enough. First and goal.
Field of a first down is under further review.
Now this is close. You can understand why. Want to make sure they get the spot right. The spot gave Petty the first down. That would mean back-to-back third and longs if the Baylor Bears would have converted on this drive.
Well, one thing you know about Baylor, even if they do not make the first down, if it's overruled, we'll see where the ball is when Petty goes down here. Looks like he's every bit at the 3-yard line here. That's right where the unofficial yellow line was. He's over it. I was going to say, Baylor, #1 in the country. I mean, attempted 18 fourth down efforts for Art Briles. I mean, he's aggressive. He keeps that foot on the gas pedal. And he has no problems dialing up a fourth down play.
Interesting, Baldy, to see a guy the size of Petty who has the arm, the passing abilities, but someone that if you get him out in space, he can tuck and really run.
Well, I mean, he's got that ball tucked away, too. You can see he's got a defensive lineman on his back. Their knee is down, and it does look like the ball is short from that spot.
On the field stands. First and goal.
All right. They didn't see it that way. Even though Andrew Bolton was calf roping him down to the ground that play. Fresh set of downs here. For Baylor.
First and goal at the 3. Stack the right side of the line. Linwood in the backfield. He gets the carry and brought down.
Well, they have Gus Penning in there at tight end. He's the move tight end. He went and sealed the end. And a little bit of an opening in there, but well defended as Linwood was not able to get into the end zone there.
Linwood really unheralded out of high school despite being a first-team All-State running back. He was also an honorable mention All-State quarterback as a senior. Didn't get a whole lot of looks in the Big 12. TCU was interested in him. Frogs offered him a scholarship. Cassius Sindish, the safety, coming up and holding Linwood out of the end zone. So once again, third down for the Bears.
Good penetration that time by Keon Stowers, the defensive tackle. And so Kansas trying to burr up here and create a goal line stand.
Will they keep feeding Shock Linwood here? Yes, he hurdles. And does he break the plane? That's the question. Ben Heaney came in but couldn't stop him. Shock Linwood scores the touchdown. It's the third touchdown this first quarter for the Bears.
Well, he's got some kind of aftershock in those shoes because he leaped over the entire pile here. You make that decision right there at about the 3 to go airborne, and he does. He's clearly over the defensive line. The ball breaks the plane. A bunch of Jayhawks hit him, but not before he got that ball over the plane of the goal line.
Chris Callahan on for the point after. This time he puts it through. The Bears had 6 rushing touchdowns earlier this season in a big win at Iowa State. It was a 49-28 final. They've already scored twice on the ground here in the first quarter, both from a yard out. First it was Devin Chapin. This time it's Shock Linwood.
Well, Art Briles likes touchdowns. I mean, they came in today with 31 punts and 45 touchdowns. Anytime you're scoring more touchdowns than you're punting, it's a pretty good sign. Boy, have things turned around since Art Briles took the reins here in Baylor. And he said something interesting to us just yesterday talking to him, I thought. Aaron, he goes, look, we're Oklahoma now. Everybody's gunning for us. I mean, we're not Baylor. We're not second fiddle to anybody. I mean, we're as good as anybody in this conference. They're out to show everybody in the Big 12 and nationally that they can be a contender here for the playoff this season.
Now, we saw earlier that Chris Callahan was not on kickoff duties the last time, and that holds true here. Spencer Evans to boot things away for the Bears. They've scored 3 touchdowns. At the 10, to Corey Shepard. And forced out of bounds. And, you know, Baldy, you were talking about the turnaround under Art Briles, and these numbers are so telling. You can look at the Big 12 wins, of course, but especially near the bottom, the All-Americans and the NFL picks.
Well, yeah, he'll tell you, like, we're getting better players. I mean, we're getting as good of players as Oklahoma or Kansas State or TCU, and you can see them. They're all over the NFL. RG3 be back in the uniform for the Redskins, the Heisman Trophy winner 3 years ago for the Redskins. Terrence Williams, a star wide receiver opposite Des Bryant right up the road in Dallas. I mean, they're all over the NFL.
There's Corey Avery. They get a drive for the Jayhawks, and he runs right into the gut of Andrew Billings.
You know, and as Kansas is trying to turn things around and trying to figure out if Clint Bowen can be the coach, it's got to start with the recruiting. Now, they're not going to get the star recruit out of Texas, but they can get some guys from Texas and then get some of the, you know, the lineman type out of the Midwest, and they don't have to get the 5-star. Clint Bowen thinks he can get the 3- and 4-star recruits and then develop them.
3 receivers to the left for Kansas. Cummings incomplete. Lucky that time for McKay. And Baldy, you know, you bring up a good point. Is there a blueprint that a coach like Bowen or someone else in a similar situation can pick up from Art Briles, what he did here?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really can. I mean, they're opposite ends right now, but Baylor was what Kansas was just before Art Briles got here. Perennial losing program, not a lot of success, not a lot of NFL draft picks, but his passion and his knowing of Texas football turned it.
Cummings toward the sideline, catch made, first down. That is Mundine, the Big 12's leading receiver as a tight end.
Well, Mundine is just a guy that can win. He's just lined up at a wing position right here, but this is what he can do after the catch. Make guys miss in the open field. He's got a big body at 240 pounds. He's kind of a big wide receiver.
Picks up 11. That's now his 24th catch of the year. 17 have gone for first downs, including that one. And Andrew Billings right there in the middle. This is a guy, Baldy, that you have to put 2 guys on.
You do, because if you single block him, he's just going to defeat the block. And he's going to penetrate and make plays just like he did in the backfield. Here he is in a squatty body, straight up the gut right here. You see the penetration. No chance for the center, Joe Gibson, to keep him out. He's the strongest player in college football. Phil Bennett loves him, loves the fact that he gets a chance to coach him.
Loss of 3 sets up 2nd and 13. Cummings, the pass to Avery, and it's essentially back towards the line of scrimmage.
Pretty good open field tackle that time by Baylor, who's really, you talk about Art Briles and what he's done offensively, but defensively, they're amongst the nation's leaders in so many different categories. Not giving up 3 yards a rush this year. 3rd downs where we are right now, 32% on the season. I mean, as good as what Phil Bennett has had here at Baylor.
That was Terrell Burt on the stop. 3rd and 9. And overthrown there by Cummings.
Great coverage by Xavier Howard.
Looking at time for Nigel King.
Yeah, looking for Nigel King, but Howard was all over him. And, you know, these defensive backs in Baylor, they had a rough day in West Virginia 2 weeks ago. They had 8 defensive pass interference penalties called against them. Some of them questionable, but yet 8 were called against the secondary. So they took that personally, and they've worked on it here throughout the bye week.
That's the secondary now without Ahmad Dixon. Now with the Bears, KJ Morgan graduated, an all-conference player. Very athletic, though, albeit a young secondary for the Bears, that is. Pardula, a stiff kick all the way back to the end zone. Here is Norwood trying to get out of there, and he can't.
That was a serious mistake here by a veteran player. And Trevor Pardula, who leads the Big 12 in punting, really forced a bad decision by Levi Norwood.
Well, Pardula has punted so much this year, you would think they'd have to ice his legs sometimes Saturday nights. And that was shot from a cannon, that punt.
They've got to decide if there's any forward progress here. Art Briles trying to decide like where this ball is going to get spotted. Referee is Reggie Smith. Big 12 employees, 8 officials.
The ruling on the field is that the player caught the ball and his original momentum carried him into the end zone where the ball became dead. By rule, it will be returned to the spot of the catch, which is the 2-yard line, 1st and 10.
I'll take another look at this.
Well, let's just take a look at Levi Norwood here because he fields this ball at about the 2. His momentum does take him back into the end zone, and that's what Reggie Smith is saying here.
You know, for more on this, let's welcome in Mike Pereira back inside of our Los Angeles studios. Mike, what do you make of this?
That's exactly the right call. The rule is that if you possess a loose ball and your original momentum takes you into the end zone, you are not deemed to have put it in the end zone. So therefore, they grant you the spot of possession, the ball at the spot of possession, on the momentum exception, actually. They handled that perfectly.
All right, Mike, thank you for that further insight. And that was a very questionable decision, and we'll see how it affects this drive for the Bears as they get it off with 5 to snap, and just overthrown there looking for Corey Coleman, who earlier had that 72-yard touchdown catch.
Normally here, Aaron, you just tell your returner, you know, anything inside the 10-yard line, let it bounce. You know, just play for the touchback, and if it goes straight up or they down it, they do. But you're almost always taught, let the ball go over your head if you're inside the 10. He fielded that at the 2.
This time they give to Chafin. Chafin gets a first down and a few more. Corey Shepard brings him down.
And we mentioned it. He's 225 pounds. He gives him a different element at tailback, one of real power. And that's what you saw from Chafin. Healthy for the first time in weeks with 2 good ankles right now. And that was the benefit of it.
Gobbles up 14. There's Petty. And that's his 4th straight incompletion, looking for Goodley.
Now, Goodley made a nice double move that time on Dexter McDonald. And really, that's the throw that they're upset with Petty about. I mean, Bryce right there has got a lot of room, a lot of field. He doesn't have to be perfect with that throw. Let Goodley run under it. We want to work with him on that.
2nd and 10.
Jeez, has he got some power or what?
Chafin that time drags the defender about 15 yards. That was Fish Smithson.
Yeah, I tell you, last time I saw somebody carry somebody that far was in a rodeo.
Picks up 11, and that takes us to the end of the first quarter. We've seen plenty of offense. That's something that we knew would happen. Baylor, 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, 2 on the ground. Kansas, a touchdown of its own. Nick Harwell, a 28-yard touchdown catch. We're back with the second quarter. It's homecoming here in Waco.
This is a fight between 2 of the
Number 13, Baylor leading Kansas 20-7 here inside beautiful McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas, as we take a look at today's Built for Tough stat comparison through the first quarter.
Well, Baylor, who came in today running 55% of the time. You can see the run game with Shock Linwood and Devin Chafin, 118 yards already, averaging almost 9 yards a play. Bryce Petty not particularly sharp to start. That's got to concern Art Briles right now. 2 for 6 to start, but one of those a 72-yard touchdown pass to Corey Coleman.
And 72 of those 73 yards coming on one completion that resulted in the first score of the day. Quick pass, Goodley to the sideline, and about halfway there.
I like Anton Goodley. I like everything about him. I love the way that he blocks. We'll probably see something today down the field. I missed a couple of games, so his numbers don't have him at the top, but I think he's the best all-around receiver here at Baylor.
He gets 3 on that catch. He's a big guy too, 5'11", 220, a senior out of Midland. Linwood keeps it on the ground, close to a first down.
Baylor running the ball extremely well here now.
That's something that, Baldy, when you think about a spread offense, you think about everybody going deep, but this is an offense under Art Briles and Philip Montgomery that has churned out a number of 1,000-yard rushers.
Yeah.
As Linwood able to get the first down, he runs into Ben Heaney.
Of course, Lake Seastrunk has moved on, but it always seems just the way that they restock wide receivers, they've been restocking running backs as well. We haven't seen the redshirt freshman Johnny Jefferson yet, but certainly Chafin and Linwood are holding it down.
Play action, Petty, deep fade, and it's caught and brought down just shy of the 10. Another big catch by Corey Coleman.
And he's working against a good corner and Ja'Cory Shepherd. And I tell you, Corey Coleman, he can track a deep ball right here. I mean, his eyes never leave it, but he's so smooth. He doesn't stick his hands out until the very end. Very talented and well-coached group of receivers.
46 yards this time, a design run for Petty right up the middle. Coleman missed the first 3 games this season because of a hamstring injury, and you can copy and paste that statement, it seems like, for almost every Baylor's receiver. It seems like they all missed 3 games right out of the gates, but last 4 games for Coleman, over 400 yards and 5 scores. They give to Linwood.
What I like about it is after you catch that long of a pass, you just stay in the game. Because you go out, you might miss another big play. They all want to get their numbers and the big plays and on the highlight reels, and that's one of the reasons why wide receivers right now are lining up to go play for Art Briles and Baylor.
But he keeps it. Is that a play there? Is he reading something there?
Yeah.
Bringing it out of the belly from
Yeah, he was
Linwood?
reading Michael Reynolds here, the outside linebacker / defensive end, who's their best all-around defensive lineman here. And he thought he could get by him. You know, Bryce Petty a year ago had 14 runs for touchdowns. Only 3 this year. Not quite the same production there.
So can't pick up the first down. Sets up a field goal try here for Chris Callahan. 27-yard attempt. Callahan got off to a rough start in this category to begin the year. Missed his first 5. He's now nailed his last 7 in a row. So a field goal this time around for the Bears. And Michael Cummings and the Kansas Jayhawks offense trying to keep up with this high-octane Bears offense. They'll get a crack at it next. Baylor scoring on its last 4 possessions after a 3-and-out to begin the ball game. 23-7 right now. We send things down to the sideline. Check in with Leslie McCaslin.
Well, Aaron, when you talk to this Kansas coaching staff, the first thing they'll tell you about their quarterback, Michael Cummings, is how serious he is. They say he's very intense and a fierce competitor. But as you mentioned, he grew up just down the street in Killeen, about 45 minutes away. And when I talked to him before the game about playing in front of all his friends and family, I got a huge grin from him behind that helmet. So no doubt he's excited about that. But after that, I've seen no smile. Very serious. Even after that touchdown, Kansas likes that about them. They feel like he brings an edge to their team, Aaron.
All right, Leslie, thank you for that. Spencer Evans, a short kick to the 10. Crawley takes it from there, and his bat ball's loose. And the fight is on.
Special teams at Baylor have been outstanding covering their kicks today. None bigger than this one if they come up with this loose ball.
By Baylor, first down.
That's the second short field that now the Bears have gotten. First we saw the fumble recovery in the first quarter by Oakman, and this time the fumble on the kickoff.
Well, Crowley's going to get a chance here to return it instead of Ja'Cory Shepherd. That ball just got ripped right out of his hands, just careless. Didn't have 2 hands on the ball going in to make contact. May be the last time that we see him returning kicks today.
And Brian, for a Kansas defensive unit that was just out on the field, even though it's early, this type of fatigue, how does it compound for a defensive unit?
Well, you know, Baylor never stops. They just keep attacking. We've seen the big plays today, and so you think you get off the field, you hold them to a field goal, you're right back on the field. It wears you down.
You give to Chafin, pushing ahead for a few yards.
I mentioned earlier that Baylor runs the ball 55% of the time. I mean, your #1 priority, believe it or not, with all this speed at wide receiver and big play abilities, to stop the run. And then they just keep pounding in between the tackles on you. It does wear you down.
Chafin now 7 carries, 45 yards. He's in the backfield once again, but headed to the air. Sets up the short pass to Chafin out of the backfield. And he's met by Ben Heaney.
Tell you, that time Petty took a hit from Michael Reynolds. He didn't see that completion. He was flat on his back, and that's not an easy guy to put on his back at 235 pounds.
Third and 4 for the Bears. Fake the handoff, and Goodley has it go right through his hands. Would have had the first down.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about Bryce Petty and his completion percentage being down from 62% a year ago to 55%, but that one is going right through Anton Goodley's hands. I mean, he's thrown it to the sticks for the first down. Goodley can't believe that he didn't bring that ball in.
Well, we just saw Chris Callahan threw on a 27-yard field goal. Seemed like less than a minute ago. He's back out there this time, looking to connect from 33. It's good, and Baylor scores on its 5th consecutive possession, and this one starting to get a little out of hand for this Kansas defense. We're back to Waco in just a moment. The UFC returns to Fox Sports 1 with an epic night of fights from Brazil, including a light heavyweight showdown between 9th-ranked Shogun Rua and 10th-ranked Ovince St. Preux. UFC Fight Night is next Saturday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Glad to have you with us here from Central Texas, the heartland of Texas. Aaron Goldsmith, Brian Baldinger. As right now, this Baylor offense has scored on each of its last 5 drives, last 2 times resulting in Callahan field goals. Spencer Evans now handling the kickoff duties. And Shepard at the 10. Going crossfield. And dropped at about the 25. All right, now let's step aside for a game break.
All right, thank you. We go to Lincoln. Nebraska's Amir Abdullah left the game with a knee injury, so quarterback Tommy Armstrong Jr. taking it upon himself. 29 yards for the score. Number 15, Nebraska leads Purdue 21-7, second quarter. Aaron, Baldy, back to you.
All right, good stuff. Good to know there. Baylor leading 26-7. Kansas offense, a lot of ground to make up. Cummings, the handoff. Gives that time to Pearson. Pearson, a guy who has spent some time kind of flip-flopping over the course of his career between being split out wide as a receiver and also lining up in the backfield. This is a move that the Jayhawks are trying to do more. Put him in the backfield so they can guarantee some more touches. One of their most explosive playmakers.
Well, they got to get the ball in his hands, but they got to block better up front too. And that's what they're not doing well. I mean, you give him a crease now, you know, he's got the capability of going a long, long ways, but you got to get him at least to the line of scrimmage clean.
Picked up only 1 that time. Harwell, who had the touchdown reception earlier in the ball game, sets up a 3rd down and a flag.
Holding offense, number 78, 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down, 2nd down.
That's Larry Muzzy, a right tackle, a junior out of Washington, D.C.
Well, they got to get better. I mean, as they try to build this program at Kansas, they have to get better up front. They got to play better together. They got to get better players. I mean, that's just where it all starts on any football team, is the offensive line and trying to control the line of scrimmage.
4 wide for the Jayhawks. 2nd and long make it. Completed and almost taken out. There it goes to the 30. It's Mundine from Denison, Texas, just north of Dallas. His 2nd catch today.
Well, Larry Mazik right here. Nice job on that time after the penalty against KJ Smith, who's really come on for Jamal Palmer. Did a good job of pushing him around the horn and letting Cummings step up. So he didn't let one bad play affect him on the next play. That's a good sign for Mazik, who's massive at 6'8", 360.
That's a big pickup. Goes from 2nd and 19 out of 3rd and 3.
Gotta watch out for this man right here, Taylor Young, inside as a blitzer in this situation.
You got to snap it soon or call a timeout.
Second charge timeout, Kansas.
So we'll go to break with the Jayhawks. They call timeout, trying to set up a critical 3rd and short.
Coming up on the AT&T halftime, TCU and West Virginia wasted very little time providing highlights. Could Oklahoma keep one foot in the Big 12 race, and will Oregon finally take care of the thorn in their side known as Stanford? Now back to Aaron and Brian.
All right, Rob, thank you so much. 3rd and 5 for the Jayhawks. Trying to get something going offensively against this stout front 7 for Baylor. Cummings rolls out, and his drop ball is loose, and the Bears have it. That's K.J. Smith right there to scoop it up. Another turnover for the Jayhawks.
Well, it was a sprint left option, and so he's running hard left, but K.J. Smith is coming, and he's chasing him. And that's one thing that Baylor's not blocked. So as long as Cummings is holding it, he goes right for the ball, and K.J. Smith makes another kind of game-changing play here. So Kansas, who had not fumbled and lost a fumble before that game against Texas Tech late in the 4th quarter, has put it on the ground and lost 3 in this first half.
Now the strain on any defense is about as great as it comes playing against this offense, but the short field that the Bears are now getting, the third turnover rather for the Jayhawks.
It's just gifts, Aaron. Absolute gifts for this Baylor offense.
As if they needed much help, averaging about 50 points per game this season.
First charge timeout, Baylor.
So we'll step aside here with 9:14 left to play in the first half from Waco. 26-7, Baylor on top of the Jayhawks. Glad to have you with us today in Waco, Texas. Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by K Jewelers. Aaron Goldman alongside Brian Baldinger and our entire Fox Sports 1 crew here. And so far, the offense for Kansas, like many, not able to keep up with the Baylor's. A punt, a fumble, then a touchdown, then a punt, 2 more fumbles. This has not been a good way for Kansas to hold on to the ball so far today as Katie Cannon gets knocked out of bounds. And Cannon's somebody that the coaches for Baylor, Baldy, could not be any higher on. Some saying that he's as smooth and polished of a receiver as they've had in this program, which is really saying something.
It's saying a lot. He's in a stack down here at the bottom with Coleman right here. And a lot of stack routes, trying to confuse the defense a little bit.
Petty to fade the end zone, and it is out of bounds. Looking for Goodley. He's had a couple of close chances today in the first half.
Good coverage by Dexter McDonald on the outside. Pure man-to-man coverage. Got no help right here. Getting a good shove right there, kind of widening him. You can see that. Oh, it looks like that foot came down in bounds. It might be worth a challenge here. Or a little review whether he just didn't possess that ball all the way through, but it looked like the feet came down.
Sets up 3rd and 8. 3 seconds to snap. Just in time. Headed to the end zone again, and this time knocked away.
Nice play by Sendish, the safety on the play. And again, the defense doing a pretty good job after these short fields and turnovers of keeping Baylor out of the end zone.
You can't ask for much more with this short field position.
Look at Sendish played blind right there. All he's doing is reacting to when the receiver goes up for the ball, then he's reacting to that, and that was perfectly played.
Callahan on for his 3rd field goal try of 33 yards this time, and it's through. So he's nailed back-to-back 33-yarders and hit a 27-yard field goal earlier in this second quarter. So 29-7 now. Baylor on top, and right now, Baldy, you can make the case right here for Baylor and the playoffs as we take a look at some key points here.
Well, the first week of the college football playoff rankings. They came in number 13. A little surprising since TCU is in front of them, and they beat TCU here 3 weeks ago. But their conference schedule is not strong. Obviously, SMU is struggling this year. Northwestern State and Buffalo, smaller schools. But they have big games remaining. Next week, they play Oklahoma. They finish the season against Kansas State. They're going to get an opportunity against big programs with good records and highly ranked teams to improve and to climb.
They have a little bit of a revenge game coming up too to the Baylor Bears, as on the 22nd they'll host Oklahoma State. The Cowboys are the only team to deal Baylor a regular season loss last year. It was under the lights, Stillwater, not an easy place to play, and
cold game at night. They
very
did not
cold.
Play well. Yeah, so they stumbled there. They stumbled 2 years ago against Kansas State.
Evans kicks things away. At the 5, it's Shepard. Angling to the sideline to the 25, and is able to tiptoe to about the 30. So 3 straight field goals for Baylor. And this score could look a lot worse than it does right now.
Well, you know, the defense have saved them. I mean, they've turned it over 3 times deep in their own zone. 3 lost fumbles right now. That's turned into a grand total of 12 points here. So, yes, sometimes 3 turnovers in your own zone against Baylor can lead to 21 points. So, at least they're not letting Baylor just run away with the turnovers that they have suffered in this first half.
And the pistol here, Pearson gets the handoff, is met it around the 30 and able to stumble forward.
Hard to run wide on this Baylor defense. Just so much speed. KJ Smith right there in your picture, stepping in and stepping up. When Jamal Palmer went down, that's Taylor Young, just a redshirt freshman who's gotten a great chance to play and putting up big tackling numbers the last couple of weeks.
Well, no gain that time. You can see the rushing totals so far for the Jayhawks. That's another loss for Kansas. Justin McKay, and not a whole lot of vertical passing for the most part, Baldy, aside from that Nick Harwell 28-yard touchdown catch.
And it's shocking, actually. You know, they made a change on the play caller today. Wide receiver coach Eric Keesaw is calling the plays instead of John Reagan. And I mean, why wouldn't you go after Baylor's secondary? There's many defensive pass interference penalties that were called against them against West Virginia. It's all on film and how they play the ball in the air. They struggle sometimes with it.
That's a pass for -6. 3rd and very long. Cummings airs this one out, way overthrown, and it'll force a punt. 3 and out for the Jayhawks.
Well, it was a bad series, you know, by no yards on first down in the run, trying to run wide against this Baylor defense. Then you throw the ball and it's dropped on a bubble screen, and then you overthrow the go route, and Cliff Bowen doesn't take any time off the clock in their possession here.
Pardula with the punt, and Levi Norwood drifted over towards the sideline. At the 30, flag is down into Jayhawks territory. And tackled at about the 35.
It will all come back. The effort by Levi Norwood here.
During the return, blocked in the back, receiving team, number 48, 10-yard penalty, first down Baylor.
All right, now let's check in down to the sidelines with Leslie McCaslin. Leslie?
Well, Aaron, I do have an official update from Kansas on their quarterback, Derek Neal, who we saw take that scary hit in the middle of the first quarter. It's good news. He is talking and communicating with Kansas medical staff, but they did go ahead and take him to a local hospital for further evaluation.
Now, we appreciate that update, Leslie. Devin Neal was really dropped to the ground after taking the knee to the helmet. The kickoff return by Norwood. Good to know that he's all right. Under 7 minutes to play here in the first half. Petty dancing around. He'll tuck it and run. There you go. Just past the 25.
Well, that time, Baylor put out 5 wide receivers, which they don't do a lot. And if you don't account for Bryce Petty as a runner and just go out there to try to recover the wide receivers, he's going to burn you in the run game.
And up that time to Corey Coleman. He's had 5 carries now this season, including that one. And a player down for the Jayhawks. That's Keon Stowers.
Second time today. We just got the update on Derek Neal, a young freshman who was injured on a kickoff return, and now Keon Stowers, the senior defensive tackle here, also shaken up.
The run by Coleman setting up a 3rd and short, but right now all attention being played on the field, as you can see there. And the first injury that we saw, Baldy, was a very concerning one to Neal. That was to the head. We have a chance to try to see what happens this time around.
He's obstructed on the play a little bit. There he is, kind of making the tackle along with Jake Love. Really hard to see just what might have happened to him. He was involved in the tackle and then he just went down. And it's just hard to know what might have happened in that pile or who might have hit him there.
Stowers, a senior defensive tackle from Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Defense has been put out there for a lot of plays in this first half, triggered by the 3 turnovers by Kansas in that first half. Those are the defensive players right there with their taking a knee, as they're sort of in step and unison with their senior defensive tackle.
Jayhawks looking for their first win on the road this year, their first conference win as well. Meanwhile, here in Waco, lots of excitement today for homecoming here at McLean Stadium, their brand new on-campus facility. And all that being muted once again with the second Kansas injury that we've seen today.
They're calling for the Card again to come out here to help them off the field.
We'll step aside. (29-7) with just under 6.5 minutes to play here in the first half from McLean Stadium. Baylor on top of Kansas, and the card has been brought out for Keon Stowers, who was really shaken up making a tackle. And unfortunately, this is the second time we have had to see the cart crew out on the field today, both times concerning a Kansas player.
Well, it's just a lot of concern, Aaron, on both sides of the ball. I mean, both have happened to Kansas players here, defensive players from Kansas. But just the same concern that Kansas has for their own teammates, Baylor has the same. Because they know on any given play, any given moment, that might be yourself right there. And I've been out there many times on the field and in the NFL where that cart comes out and you're praying for your teammate or the opposition, but you're also going, you know, I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I'm okay myself.
Earlier it was Devin Neal. We heard Leslie give us an update that he's been taken to a local hospital, but all things pointing in the right direction for Neal, who took a knee to the helmet covering a kickoff. And for Clint Bowen, the interim head coach taking over for Charlie Weiss when he was dismissed a handful of games into this season, this challenge is already an uphill battle enough. Not only today, but also the bigger picture. Of course, Bowen, a guy who lives and bleeds Kansas football, from Lawrence, played for the Jayhawks, has coached for the Jayhawks in various roles for a long time now. And this adds a different layer to it when, before the first half even comes to a close, he's had 2 players carted off the field.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. You're up against the highest powered offense in all of college football. You need all hands on deck, and this play has completely come to a halt and a stop twice here in less than 30 minutes of play. And he's looking with that type of concern on one of his players as he's trying to keep his guys focused and thinking about what the task was at hand, but you could see that they're not thinking about the game right now. They're thinking about their teammate, and that's the way it is. They have strapped Keon Stowers carefully onto the board as they lift him carefully onto the back of the cart.
There was such a huge sigh of relief here inside McLean Stadium earlier when Derek Neal was able to actually sit up and sit upright when he was carted off the field. There was as much concern then as there is now, but Stowers on the stretcher.
Stowers, who is a senior and has been a healthy player here, at least a 2-year starter over the last 2 seasons, and a staple on this defense, a guy that you kind of look at when you line up. First play of the game, last play of the game, he's in there. One is a lot. One player goes down and is carted down. That's too many. And in 2 1/2, you don't see it very often, but it has overshadowed everything that has happened in this first half because it is so concerning to these players, to everybody involved in the game of football.
No doubt at some point that's a good sign right there.
Yeah, he hears that the crowd, he hears the clapping, and hopefully Leslie will give us some updated information as time goes on here today about his status, and hopefully everything is going to be okay.
Meanwhile, TJ Semke, a junior out of Lee Summit, Missouri, is second on the depth chart behind Stowers, along with Andrew Bolton.
And let's just reset here. I mean, this is a third down, a play here for Baylor as they try to regroup and reset. 3rd and a yard.
Petty, the handoff to Chafin. He's got the first down. Angled it to the sideline and almost out to midfield.
Well, not only is Chafin powerful, we've talked about it today, the number of tackles he's broken, but he also can get laterally. And he has some good quicks to bounce to the outside.
Pickup of 15. Petty towards the sideline, and it's dropped. Trying to hook up there with Jay Lee.
That's where that ball should be thrown by Petty. That was a comeback route to Jay Lee. One of their bigger receivers on the outside. Had both hands underneath it, but just dropped it.
Lee started the first 4 games with this receiving unit for the Bears, was so banged up, now getting nearly fully healthy. Chafin to midfield and into Kansas territory.
Well, we came in talking about Shock Linwood and how he was leading the Big 12 in rushing at almost 100 yards a game, and like Chafin is kind of earning his keep here as he's healthy and getting a lot more carries here in the second quarter.
Sets up a 3rd and short, another first down, and once again another give to Chafin, who's over 70 yards for the day. He entered today with 115 yards on the season. He's been dealing with a high ankle sprain, really, and that week off to help heal up as now he gets a breather in Shock Linwood.
Linwood's like, give me some of those carries. Philip Montgomery, the offensive coordinator here, when he gets his running game going, he likes to stay with it. Oh, he pulls this one out.
Looking for the end zone and overthrown. Oh, they have tried to connect Petty and Goodley today, Brian, and more times than not that connection just has not panned out.
No, but you know they're greedy. I mean, they like to go for the home run ball as much as any team in college football. Here it comes right back again.
Right again, and this time it's caught and out of bounds. Just shy of the pylon.
They come right back to it. I mean, they see something, they want to go after it. They get one-on-one coverage. You can see that KD Cannon, the talented freshman, gets behind Ja'Cory Shepard. Shepard's like, didn't they just run a go route and I stopped it and they overthrew it? Like they're coming right back on me?
Good for 27 yards, 1st and goal. And off to Linwood, right up the middle and stuffed.
I think not enough credit goes to Phil Montgomery, old Monty, the offensive coordinator, young coach. Art Browse turned the play calling over to him. 3 or 4 years ago, and with that, the surge in Baylor's offense simultaneous to it.
It's been incredible. Hand off to Linwood, and he's brought down just shy. You know, you bring up Montgomery, and he is a young coach. That being said, his 7th season now here at Baylor, and he has been off the hip of Briles now for 16 years, back when Briles was at Houston. As you can see, Philip Montgomery, and also when they were together at Stephenville High School.
Wow, that was a good hit.
Chafin gets leveled and denied.
Well, I can hear that hit all the way up on the roof here of McLean Stadium. Wow, that was Ben Heaney making that contact, keep him out of the end zone. We haven't talked enough about Heaney, but that right there shows you the type of player that he is. They were not going to let them score.
It's now the 11th play of the drive, longest of the day for the Bears. 4th and goal. Going for it up 29-7. The handoff good for the touchdown. Chafin able to bulldoze his way in, and the Bears just continue to heap on the Jayhawks here in the first half.
Well, when they need a yard, they go to their jumbo green package with Laquan McGowan at fullback. That's a 390-pound man with a size 20 shoe, and they run right behind him. I mean, you can't miss him, and he's going to lead the way. He doesn't have to block anybody. He just has to get in the way. And Chafin gets his 2nd touchdown run of the day.
Both from a yard out. Chuck Linwood also had a 1-yard touchdown score earlier. 36-7. Callahan good on the point extra. Well, let's step aside for a game break. We go to our Fox Sports 1 studios with Greg Wolf.
All right, we check it again in Jacksonville, number 11, Georgia. Their hold on the SEC East in doubt. The Gators opening drive, second half. Matt Jones, 44 yards for the score. The Gators lead the Bulldogs 21-7, third quarter. Aaron Baldy, back to you.
All right, good to know that update.
Yeah, Will Muschamp kind of embattled there at Florida, but certainly if Florida can win out and upset Georgia today, that would go a long ways to maybe securing him long term. Of course, the attention here on Baylor. Baylor's just thinking about this game today and trying to win out themselves and give Art Briles reason to think that why not us? Why not us in a first year of a 4-team playoff?
That time electing to go for it on 4th and goal from the 1. Chafin gets a touchdown. Just under 3.5 minutes left to play in the first half here in Waco. There is Shepard back in the end zone. We'll take a look at what's happened so far here this first half to get us to the score that we're at right now, 36-7.
Well, this is a fumbled snap from to Michael Cummings, and then this fumble on a kickoff coverage unit by Baylor, and then K.J. Smith stripping Cummings of the ball. And you can see that Baylor's getting great field position, and then the powerful rushing attack of Baylor. Number 1 in the Big 12, almost 200 yards here in the first half. I mean, they're running right down the middle of Kansas defense.
Already 3 touchdowns on the ground, all from a yard out. Here is Avery. Doesn't get very far.
But Kansas needs to concentrate on here with almost 3 minutes to go in this first half. Is just trying to put a drive together. Just execution, play after play, and just try to get something here going in at halftime.
Avery remains in the backfield. Cummings to throw. Finds Avery, and a big crunch hit there at the 30. Avery able to hop right back up. Avion Edwards chopping some wood right there.
Well, Edwards missing a couple weeks because of an injury, but healthy now after the bye week and trying to get his starting job back. And hits like that kind of get Bill Bennett, the defensive coordinator's attention.
Yeah, Edwards was a running back at Stephenville High School.
Yeah.
Where Briles, of course, built such a legacy there. 3rd and 3. Jayhawks 2 for 7 so far today on third down. And a flag.
We have a procedure penalty against Kansas.
Full start. Offense, number 79. 5-yard penalty. It's third down.
That's on Jordan Shelley-Smith, a sophomore.
And they're at right tackle for Mazik right now, shaking his head. He knows. Maybe a little bit of that crowd noise here in this beautiful McLean Stadium on a Saturday afternoon.
Third penalty for the Jayhawks here in the first half. Under 2 minutes to play. Cummings into the flat. And a nice stop there, and a lot of green helmets swarming. One dime of the catch.
Well, the biggest improvement in this Baylor team is what they're doing defensively on third down. One of the best in the nation. Teams just converting 32%. Today, Kansas isn't even close to that on third down. So Phil Bennett, the yellow shirt, I'd be pretty happy by his performance in this first half.
You saw Colin Brents there. A former walk-on, a fourth-year senior from Plano, Texas. Right there in the Dallas area. Played so well this season. Well, coming up at halftime, it's the AT&T Halftime Report. Rob Stone, Bill Platt, Dave Wanstadt back in our LA studios, catching you up to speed. A Big 12 showdown. Number 7 TCU, number 20 West Virginia. Of course, a big game today. Number 18 Oklahoma bouncing back. And can Oregon at number 5 get over the hump later tonight against Stanford? Marcus Mariota trying to knock off the Cardinal.
Cardinals defensively very good against the run. Mariota has yet to beat Stanford as a starting quarterback there.
Something he'd like to check off the to-do list tonight. Pardula punts it away. A shallow kick right there by midfield. We saw Pardula earlier today with a booming punt of about 61 yards.
That's not the time to shank it here with 1:25 to go. Again, Baylor's going to start a possession near the 50-yard line. And
has been a day of short field for the Baylor Bears.
You can bet that Baylor will be aggressive here, Aaron. I mean, it's all about points to this team. They saw TCU go to Texas Tech and put up 82 points last week. They're like, okay, they got a selection committee. They're looking at points and how many you can score. They're going to try and do the same thing.
A punt of only 26 puts it at the 47. Pass a little high and a tough shot there. That was an awkward hit.
Well,
that was Sendiff.
This is the one part of Bryce Petty's game. He's just got to be more accurate. There's this 3-man rush right here. Good throwing lane. Got his receiver. Sails on him. Sendish has had a good game here for Kansas in this first half.
That was Clay Fuller who got knocked around a little bit, a former walk-on. Tough run in here and nearly a first down. That's Chafin again. What a day he's had so far.
He is a powerful runner. This is the first time that anybody watching Baylor has really seen him healthy in about a month now.
Quick throw to the sideline and out of bounds. Levi Norwood getting in the mix now.
You know, it used to be you'd get the ball with 58 seconds now here in the first half. It'd be a hurry-up 2-minute drill. But this is what Baylor does every day in practice. Been 130 snaps on Thursday in just one team period.
Petty all kinds of time looking for the end zone and a flag right there. Trying to find Jay Lee. He's covered by Isaiah Johnson.
But if you're going to, Isaiah Johnson here's the safety on the play, and he's guilty of this defensive pass interference, and it's just not necessary. He's in good position. He just doesn't need to panic when that ball's in the air.
Pass interference. Defense, number 5. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Look, he's running blind. All he wants to do now, Jay Lee is looking back for the ball. All he has to do is look back for the ball now and find it. He can see that the receiver is looking back for it. So rather than put your hands on him, look back and track the ball at that spot.
Makes it a 1st and 10. Now there is no mercy from this Baylor Bears offense. Already leading 36-7. Petty looking for the end zone again, and just misses his man looking for K.D. Cannon.
Well, these corners getting plenty of work. Dexter McDonald has defended a lot of passes. It must feel like a Thursday afternoon skelly drill here. A little 7-on-7, as much as that ball has been going deep.
They've been playing 500 so far. 2nd and 10 for Petty. He's found a crossing route, and he finds Goodlin. That's
a great play by McDonald, who was man-to-man on him, and they were running Goodlin on a little shallow cross, and he tracked him through a bunch of traffic and made a good open field tackle.
Clock ticking down. 3rd and 6 for the Bears. 20 seconds left in the first half. All kinds of time again for Petty. And he will cut for the sideline, and we'll find it with 7 seconds left.
Well, that time Kansas just rushed 3, and they dropped 8 into coverage. And while there were 5 receivers out there, Petty just didn't feel comfortable trying to make a real tight throw. Let's face it, Petty threw 3 interceptions all of last year. He's only got 3 this year. He doesn't force the ball. There's no need to. No need to there with Callahan, who's been perfect kicking field goals today. Never risk a throw at the chance of taking points off the board.
Callahan on already for his 4th field goal try. This time the longest of the day, 37 yards. As a distance, and it is good. Callahan 4 for 4. He's now made his last 10 field goals.
Well, this first half is very much like a year ago, Aaron, where last year they were down 38-0 at half. This year, Clint Bowen's team down 39-7 at the half.
Not an easy team to keep up with. So officially 2 seconds left here in the first half. If you're Kansas, you feel good knowing the fact that you forced 4 field goals. But the downside is, well, 1, it's 4 field goals in the first half. That's an awful lot. And also, we've seen 3 touchdown runs and a long touchdown strike to Corey Coleman of 72 yards. That was earlier in the first quarter. That opened up the second drive today for the Bears.
One thing I like about this Baylor Bear offense, though, and it doesn't matter who they play, they feature the run. They're never going to give up on it. They're really good at it and have been. And then secondly, they take as many deep shots and they keep attacking you. They keep the pressure on. It is fast break football, but it is big play football, and that's what they live for. And when they're getting them, they're as good as anybody in the country, if not the best, at scoring.
Kyle Peterson this time to kick things off for the Bears. And a little squib right up the middle. And that will take us to the half. Making sure that Kansas had no chance to return it. 39-7. That's our first half score. Well, we've got a flag. Just one moment. Kansas players already heading towards the sideline. And the Bears players doing the exact same.
Offside, kicking team. Penalty is declined. That is the end of the first half.
That'll do it for the first half here in Baylor. Rob Stone back in our LA studios. We'll pick you up after the half. 39-7. Back in a moment. Is presented by Kay Jewelers. Welcome back to McLean Stadium. Homecoming week here in Waco, Texas. As the Baylor Bears really giving it to the Kansas Jayhawks. This one going in many ways the way that we all thought that it would. 39-7 at half as we're moments away from kickoff to begin half number 2. Welcome inside the booth. Aaron Gold alongside Brian Baldinger. And Baldy, the stat that probably tells things the best, The Jayhawks, they've scored on 1 of 9 possessions. Meanwhile, for the Baylor Bears, nearly just the opposite, 8 of 9 possessions in the first half.
Baylor's a better team. We knew that coming in. So Kansas had to come here today and play a nearly perfect game, and they've been far from it, Aaron. And that's really different. I mean, they're not taking advantage of their possessions. They fumbled it 3 times in the first half, and those 3 fumbles led to 12 points. And, I mean, it was really, this is just a fumble exchange. I mean, it can't happen if you're playing against Baylor. And then on a kickoff return right here, that ball is jarred loose, gives Baylor great field position, and Cummings on a 3rd down, a little sprint left option, is tackled from behind by K.J. Smith. And so the stats are very one-sided right here. It's all favors Baylor. I would say the one thing about Baylor that Art Briles would have to be upset about is Callahan's 4 field goals and not 4 touchdowns. And, they're thinking about next week. Oklahoma's on the horizon. They took care of Iowa State today. And you play Oklahoma and try and stay, in the hunt for a playoff spot. You've got to convert your red zones into touchdowns.
You see there Michael Cummings trying to engineer this Kansas offense to get some yards and some first downs. And maybe, Baldy, the most telling stat there from those Geico first half stats, 0 rushing yards, a big goose egg for the Jayhawks in that category. And as we mentioned earlier in the open, this Baylor offense, one known for throwing the ball all around the ballpark or the ball yard, and really it's been the run game that has been so telling so far for the Baylor Bears. Corey Shepard returning things for the Jayhawks, and he is met stiff there at about the 20, and right now we'll go down to the sideline. We'll check in with Leslie McCaslin. Leslie?
Well, guys, I had a chance to talk to Baylor's head coach, Art Briles, about what he liked that he saw from his team in the first half. He said 2 things, passion and energy. Told my team coming into this game I wanted to see more of that, respect the way that we play. I also asked him what he thought about quarterback Bryce Petty's first half. He said he did some good things. We liked some of the decisions he made on 3rd downs. We liked the fact that he ran the ball. Those were a couple things they wanted him to do coming into this game. Be more passionate, be more involved in the run game, Aaron.
That's good to know. Thanks for the update, Leslie. Kansas has it to begin the first half. A lot of ground to make up in this one today at Waco. For the air right away, Monday the tight end. Gets it about halfway there to the first down.
Well, it's a good start for Kansas. I mean, just putting it in a playmaker's hands, a sure-handed tight end, kind of a flexed wide receiver at times. And just try to get a positive gain and try and sustain that. Just try to put a drive together. Give yourself, something to be hopeful about.
Undine, the Big 12's best receiving tight end. Pearson with nowhere to run. Xavier Hayward, who is known best for his abilities in pass coverage, coming up and making the stop.
Well, if you take on the negative runs that Kansas had, they didn't really gain anything on the ground, and that's what they wanted to try to do, win the line of scrimmage. It was just 3 years ago, Aaron, these 2 teams played, and RG3 had to bring Baylor from down 21, to win in overtime. I mean, 2 programs in opposite directions. Cummings here trying to convert a 3rd down.
Third and 5 for Cummings. Walks in left side, lobs it there. The catch made by Harwell. That's the second pretty connection he's made with Harwell. The first one came in the first quarter for the touchdown.
Yeah, and Harwell, in the slot right here is just going to run to the out, really almost the same route that he scored a touchdown on, just a deep out right there. Touchdown, he converted it to a wheel and went up, but they needed that. They were 2 for 8 on 3rd downs in the first half and 3 fumbles, and so just trying to keep Baylor's offense off the field. That was the original game plan for Clint Bowen.
That can actually get it for 18 yards. Harwell, the transfer, senior transfer from Miami of Ohio. And off to Pearson trying to stretch it. He's got a first down. He's got to the 40 and pushed out of bounds. Rayon Sells, sophomore from Irving, Texas, forces him out of bounds.
I thought pretty good block over here on the backside by Lewandowski, because Pearson, is trying to get to the outside, so he ties up Oakman for a little bit, and you got to block Sean Oakman if you're going to run to the left side. See Kansas kind of taking their time once they're lined up at the line of scrimmage, just trying to melt some of the clock here.
And off out to Avery, and he is stuffed for a loss. You look at the running back tree for the Jayhawks this season, and it's one that has not left them with much depth.
No, but you've got to be able to block open. And so that time they doubled him, and he got through the double team. And, you know, I mean, he's a force over there. You're going to run that side, then you better be able to block a man 6'9", 280 with long arms, you know, a big body, and a guy that is seeing more and playing better, like he did on that play, splitting the double team.
Loss of 2 makes it 2nd and 12. The hand to Avery. Last year, the Jayhawks had Jay Sims. He graduated. He exited as KU's 3rd-time all-leading rusher. Then Darian Miller, he left the program over the summer, had some off-the-field issues. Incoming freshman, Trayvon Wrench, a 4-star recruit they were very excited about. He failed to qualify academically, so you can see how much the running back position started to get weeded out. But then Brandon Bourbon, he tore an ACL in an August scrimmage. Less than 24 hours later, Taylor Cox tore his Achilles in a non-contact drill. He had a history of injuries, missed a lot of time last year. So you can see how much that position has thinned, blockers or not. And on 3rd and 5, they don't get enough. And stay on the ground with Avery, the true freshman from Dallas.
Well, they have to go for this 4th down attempt here, try and maintain possession. So what I think they should try to do here is really try to put the ball in Cummings' hands and give him a two-way go, two-way option. He's a pretty good runner, pretty strong, capable of breaking tackles.
It's 4th down.
We have Ben Heaney in the backfield.
Yeah, how about this little pistol formation?
One of the nation's best linebackers gets the handoff, and he can't get the 1st down.
I've never seen Ben Heaney a tailback, but it doesn't surprise me that they give him the chance. But Phil Bennett got penetration here. I mean, Ben Heaney never gets to the line of scrimmage before he is stopped.
Now Ben Heaney now knows what it feels like as he gets stuffed. We'll step aside.
With Baylor up 39-7 early in the 3rd quarter, you just watch right here. KJ Smith beat Ben Johnson, the tight end, across his face. And Ben Heaney gets his 1st carry of the season. He's hit, makes him spin, and then here comes all of the Baylor Bear green jerseys to wrap him up and stuff that 4th down. Questionable decision whether you put your starting middle linebacker at tailback, kind of a head scratcher, but with penetration like KJ Smith on the play, may not make any difference.
So Heaney now in more comfortable territory on the defensive side of the ball. Chafin, the running back, gets the handoff. A lot of room to run. He's near midfield and forced out of bounds inside of KU territory.
Devin Chafin, the ball carrier.
So you can see that it was a 3-and-out to start the game. They punted the ball away, and then on the next 8 straight possessions, they've been able to score.
Chafin gets 18 yards. Petty wants it all. Deep sideline, and it's caught, flag down, and into the end zone. Corey Coleman, we'll see what the flag is, but he fought his way to pay dirt right there.
Wow, the flag is going to be on Isaiah Johnson. It's going to be a touchdown. And Coleman is just so smooth and under control.
Pass interference, defense, number 5. The penalty is declined. Result of the play, a touchdown.
Watch Coleman come back for this ball. Under control, wraps it up. I talked to him briefly yesterday. I said, what's your game plan against this man coverage you're going to see? He goes, I'm going to school him. He goes, but he was kind of humble a little bit, but not so humble.
He sounds humble with that statement.
Well, I'm going to school him. And he has.
Callahan on. Up and good. 46-7. Now, Corey Coleman, he began this ball game with a 72-yard catch and run, and he did the majority of the heavy lifting. This time, he does it again. This time, he fights his way over the end zone and fights through a defender, too. Baylor all over Kansas. Their average drive time is at about 1:40 so far today. Now, the recent score, Corey Coleman, a 49-yard touchdown catch. He wrestled himself into the end zone.
That's a true Bear, huh?
Staying warm.
Yeah. And that's getting little fall-like temperatures here as we turn the calendar to November.
It was 59 at kickoff and dropping a little bit. Shepard takes to the 20, and he's met there immediately. And we'll take a look at today's Nissan Heisman Watch. And Baldy, take us through this.
Well, you know, you have to put Jameis Winston in the conversation after what he did to Louisville on Thursday night, down 21-0. He brings it back. We'll see Marcus Mariota against Stanford later this evening. Trevon Boykin is in Morgantown, and they're struggling. They're losing in the fourth quarter right now. He comes back. He stays in the race. Dak Prescott is quarterback of the #1 team in the nation. And I put Eric Kendricks in this week. He's a 3-time Lott Award winner at UCLA. His brother will be in Houston tomorrow as the Eagles take on the Texans. Really good prospect.
What a game Boykin had right here in Waco against the Bears.
Well, it's interesting, that game that you referenced about Trevon Boykin, because that was the 61-58 come from behind game for Baylor where they scored 24 straight points to win. And Art Briles just thought, like, that was fool's gold. Like, we can't just do that every week, fall behind and count on our offense to bring us back 24 points. So they have struck up the band here today, though, that's for sure.
It was Darius Crowley on the last catch. First time he's touched the ball today. 2nd and 3 for the Jayhawks. Just trying to keep this one respectable.
Well, they seem awfully confused about just what the formation should be.
A lot of pressure. Oakman forces a throw out of bounds. You see that 6'8" man barreling down on you. Get rid of the ball.
Yeah, but I mean, that was like a Baylor Bear sandwich. I mean, Cummings bounced right up. I'm Oakman from one side. I mean, you're going to see Cummings right here hit from both sides. Coming in on a corner blitz. That time was Xavier Howard. Look at that.
They turn away from Oakman, and you see Howard coming crashing into the corner. No Ben Heaney this time in the backfield with 3 yards to go on 3rd down. Instead, it's Corey Avery. Cummings spins, drops the ball, picks it up, and it's 4th down. Almost another fumble. It's KJ Smith applying the pressure.
Well, you got to be careful about spinning and turning your back to this defense, because KJ Smith, I mean, you just saw where Corey Avery, the running back, whiffed on him, and that's the 3rd time that Cummings has fumbled. Fortunately, he was able to fall on that one, but KJ Smith, we mentioned his name a bunch coming off that edge today.
That's a loss of 10. Entering today, the Jayhawks had lost only 1 fumble all year. Today, they've lost 3.
Right. And that was in the 4th quarter in their last game against Texas Tech.
Ardula, that almost looked like it might have hit a man. Norwood is there to get on top of it.
Yeah, nobody looks like looking at it that way.
Baylor will take over. Step aside from Waco. 46-7 Bears on top. 46-7 Baylor here in the 3rd quarter from Waco. Bryce Petty, quarterback for the Baylor Bears, did not become a starter until last year. Had to wait a long time. And today he has now moved into 2nd all-time in Baylor passing yards. That 49-yard touchdown to Corey Coleman will put him over the top.
Of course, we talk about his passing yards, but we show him running first time. But look at this one to Corey Coleman. Look at the body control. He gives him a chance to catch that one. And so that's pretty good company when the Heisman Trophy winner, who will be starting for the Redskins tomorrow up in Minnesota, is the only guy in front of him.
Petty might not have all that many snaps left in this ball game. He does not play a whole lot of the 4th quarter. He's able to zip this pass in, and no, out of bounds. Taking that time for Davian Hall. Isaiah Johnson on a tight coverage. Petty's story is so interesting, though. He signed with Tennessee before his senior year in high school when Philip Fulmer was still there. Then Fulmer was fired. Lane Kiffin's regime came in, and they weren't so interested in Petty as Fulmer's crew were. So they told him basically, you might want to start looking around for a scholarship once again. Virginia Tech.
On the field is a completed catch for a 1st down.
So they do give the catch.
We'll take a look at here on the sideline as Davian Hall comes down. against Johnson. Yeah, that left foot looked like it was in and then pushed out by Johnson. So good replay angle right there.
This is Jefferson in the backfield, the second leading rusher this season, an electric playmaker for the Bears. It's the handoff.
No, but you should finish the story here on Bryce Petty and just how he got here.
Virginia Tech showed a lot of interest in Petty. However, it was Art Briles and Baylor who swayed him to come to Waco. And for Petty, he showed a lot of trust in Briles as they get the first down there to play Fuller. He gray-shirted in 2009, red-shirted in 2010. He backed up 2 All-Americans. He backed up, of course, RG3, then Nick Florence, the man he just passed in the record books for second most all-time passing yards in school history. And then finally got a chance to start last year and was nearly invited to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. That's how good of a year he had. Levi Norwood can't quite climb the ladder. So Petty, in his own words, he said he counted up the days between his final snap in high school and his first snap last year in late August for Baylor. It was over 1,000 days. I mean, that's a long time.
That's $1,000, yeah, $1,000-day wait, and that is an eternity in college football. But you know, he's graduated. He's in graduate school now. So he's got his degree. He's got a great chance here the last 5 weeks to really push Baylor up the charts with throws just like this to Levi Norwood.
Deep out, strong arm. Norwood some yards after the catch inside the red zone. Ben Heaney tracks him down.
You know, one thing about these receivers, and I learned a lot of my wide receiver knowledge from a guy I work with in Sterling Sharp. I think the second best receiver to play in modern times behind Jerry Rice. And he tells me a lot about why these receivers are so good. One of them, they never give away their route of what they're running.
Play action, a strike over the middle of first down, inside the 5. Once again, it's Clay Fuller.
You know, if you're running a go route, their eyes are down the field. They're not on the defensive back. They don't put their hands out to the last second. I mean, they're very well coached by Art Briles' son here at Baylor.
Play action, or fake the handoff rather. This time, Petty lowers his shoulders, and he can't believe he didn't get in.
Yeah, I mean, this may get reviewed because it sure looked like he had that ball. He's pointing here. The pylon also. Ooh, he hits the pylon with his left elbow, which would put him in. And I don't know that his foot was out of bounds when he did that.
And if it was by a toe. He did not look like a quarterback running the football right there.
It was tucked away in his strong left arm. And the crowd is looking at a replay, but they don't like it at all.
Second and goal, he fumbles it this time. Loose ball. Kansas had a couple of good opportunities there. And you can tell Philip Montgomery wanted to make sure that Petty got into the end zone. He gave him another crack at it. The offensive coordinator.
I think there was enough evidence on the Bryce Petty run to review it. However, let's take a look here at Jefferson. All right, ball is a hot potato. Looks like Baylor came back with it. Setting up this third down.
Third and goal. We've already seen 4 field goals from Chris Callahan. To the air and a touchdown. Yet another. Levi Norwood, the senior.
First touchdown of the season.
It is. Norwood now a catch in 32 consecutive games played. 52-7 the Bears pouring it on the Jayhawks here on homecoming weekend.
I really think Norwood here, the inside receiver, just going to run a slant against Isaiah Johnson. I mean, he's playing for an outside route. There's nobody inside, and he's got no leverage there. Really easy throw for Petty.
Chris Callahan makes it 53-7. Baylor leading the Jayhawks. And we're coming back in a few moments here from Waco, Texas, as Baylor's second all-time leading passer, Bryce Petty, connects with Levi Norwood.
All new Wednesday. The losing streak splits Team Melendez apart. Is the pressure to win too much for Rose? Don't miss the most explosive fight of the season. The Ultimate Fighter. All new Wednesday at 10. Only on Fox Sports 1.
Baylor over the 50-point mark already today as we take a glance at today's Quicken Loans game summary.
Well, they averaged 49. They led the nation a year ago. They're second this year, 49 points a game. So They have surpassed their average here, and we're a little over halfway through the third quarter, and that's a good-looking Baylor Bear hat. Bananas, it's Halloween. I mean,
they took your Halloween idea there, Bob.
They did. I didn't get a chance to wear it last night.
There's Peterson. He'll take a knee. All right, now let's go back to Greg Wolf for Lowe's Never Stop Improving Game Break. Greg?
All right, guys, back in Morgantown, number 7 TCU trailed 27-14 in the second half, but they're coming back. B.J. Catalon's 6-yard run. Number 20 West Virginia hanging on to a 2-point lead, fourth quarter. Aaron, Baldy, back to you.
That's a good one. A good one in Morgantown by two good teams, improving teams. Drastically improved from a year ago.
And Baldy, right here, if you're Kansas, Michael Cummings, the quarterback, Clint Bowen, the interim head coach, what are you looking for the rest of the game here? Because obviously this ball game is out of hand at this point.
It is, but we're just looking for some level of execution. I mean, they've got to start to find building blocks for this program, regardless of whether Clint can be named as the head coach or they go out and find somebody. It starts up front with an offensive line. You know, they had a bye week, and they spent part of their bye week 2 days just working on the fundamentals of the game, blocking and tackling, and you know, we're just not seeing evidence of that work. Before they even began getting ready for Baylor, they were trying to get better up front.
Cummings fakes the handout, rolls out, and this fires. 3rd and 8.
You know, they've gone through, like, you know, whether Michael Cummings can show enough here the rest of the season. He's just a junior, be back again next year, whether they hit the recruiting trails and try to find a hotshot young quarterback. In this Big 12 right now, you have better found a great quarterback. And you've got to score a lot of points to stay in the hunt week in, week out here.
Cummings is 13 for 20, 125 yards. Of course, it was Montel Cozart who started the first 5 games, but completed just 4 of 10 passes against West Virginia. And then in the second half, the keys were given to Michael Cummings. Looks a throw on 3rd and 8 over the middle, and a nice hook up there at midfield. He finds Nick Hartwell.
That's a good throw. I mean, Hartwell's made 3 good catches here today. He gets good protection here from the line. Just a straight 4-man rush. Gets a little max protection and beats the corner, or the safety on that play, Terrell Burke.
Good for 22 yards. The handoff to Pearson. Not a lot of room there at all. Drop back. Hager in there for the tackle. Their leading tackler, 5th-year senior, coming off a 13-tackle performance 2 weeks ago at West Virginia.
Yep. Bryce Hager's father, Britt Hager, played with me in Philadelphia, right out of Austin Westlake High School, right down the road here, about an hour south. Bryce, a senior and 3-year starter, middle linebacker.
This is Jordan Shelley Smith.
Yeah, right from Waco here. Last thing he wanted to do is be down on the turf with an opportunity to play here. Here he is trying to block Oakman on this play. Just rolled that right ankle. Stepped right on the back of his own teammate, the right guard, Mike Smithberg.
He spent a lot of time at tight end last year. Shelley Smith was a wide receiver for part of his high school years. You can see he's filled out. His father was a former offensive lineman here at Baylor.
Yeah, well, that when you want to try to develop linemen, though, that's not a bad way to go. Find guys that, you know, were tight ends and athletic and grew into their body. I was like that in college to start my career, a tight end, and had a knee injury and came back and found the weight room and, you know, the training table, and start every meal with 6 pieces of blueberry pie just because I could. And next thing you know, the weights just started coming on.
Is that a full pie, by the way? 6 pieces? You're pretty
no,
close.
It's just a half a pie.
Oh, just half a pie.
But you eat the first half before the meal and then the second half after the meal.
Just because you can.
Yeah. The best part about college was training table.
4 wide receivers for Cummings. Heaves it far sideline. Nice adjustment, but King can't put the squeeze on it.
And that might be one of the differences between these two teams, is how you play the ball in the air. I mean, Nigel King, watch him try to time this ball. He's perfect. We saw Corey Coleman do that and come down and score touchdowns. I mean, the ball's in the air. He's got to make that play. perfectly thrown by Cummings.
Cummings looking back at the sideline from Killeen, Texas, only about an hour southwest of where he plays today here in the heartland of Texas in Waco. Jayhawks 4 for 12 on third down. Cummings steps up, tucks, run, has the first down, has a lot more too, and he did not get down in time. You could tell by his body motion he was thinking about maybe hitting the turf, but instead he gets crunched.
Well, Bryce Hager just lit him up at the end of this run. It's all going to come back because of a foul in the offensive line. He's not looking to slide.
Number 78, 10-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
Well, Mazik is back in there for Shelley Smith, who went out with when he rolled that right ankle. I actually thought they did a pretty good job of blocking on that play, but obviously a little hold on the outside by the right tackle. He's got.
This sets up 3rd and 18 after a big run by Cummings. To the air again, fighting for position and a flag. Nigel King.
Well, who's this going to be on? Is it going to be on King or is it going to be on Reed, the corner? Wow. It's against Ryan Reed, the first defensive pass interference penalty of the day for Baylor.
Pass interference, defense, number 9. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And Brian, this was something that you were really harping on before the game even began, that if you're Kansas, you need to take a couple of deep shots like this, if nothing else, based on the previous game for the Bears at West Virginia.
Yeah, and I think, totally. I mean, you've got to take your chances. Now, Ryan Reed was looking back for the ball. I didn't think he was guilty of an arm bar there and obstructing King from going for that ball.
And you can see Phil Bennett, who was wearing the yellow polo rather.
But, you know, Aaron, when you're playing as much man coverage as you get in the Big 12 and in the game of football right now, you have to take your shots down the field.
Big hit, ball loose. Oakman applies the hit. And who's got it in midfield? Now, Cummings is furious.
Well, somebody should at least be yelling "look out" to Michael Cummings, especially when this man is coming clean. You can't cut block like that on a pass where your quarterback is holding it. You can cut block occasionally if it's a quick pass, but it better get out.
3rd sack of the day.
That's the 4th fumble by Cummings today. They've lost 2 and recovered 2.
2nd and 18. Pressure again. They set up the screen. A lot of green pasture here. Nearing the red zone, he's there to the 10, high-stepping his way to the 5, and he's inside the 5. That's Corey Avery.
And Aaron, one way to deal with the pass rush of Sean Oakman is to invite him up the field and then slip right behind him. Like the old sucker punch. Good block by Lewandowski on Taylor Young, and now Corey Avery is off to the races.
49 yards.
A couple big plays on screens from Kansas today, and that call should have probably been more frequent the way this pass rush has gotten after Cummings.
Avery was a huge recruit out of Carter High School in Dallas. Averaged over 10 yards a carry as a high school senior. Gets the handoff here and is met immediately. Really, you know, we've talked a little bit about the future for Kansas, Baldy, and how they're able to do some recruiting at this point going forward and needing to get some big recruits in. Avery was a big sign of that going forward. This was somebody that was highly coveted by Ohio State, by Texas, LSU, Baylor. He turned all those schools down to go to Lawrence.
Well, the one thing you turn it down to come to play for Clint Bone and, you know, Charlie Weiss here at Kansas is as a freshman you get a chance to play. If you go to those other schools, you're probably redshirted and won't get that chance right away.
Avery remains in the backfield. Motion man is King. Cummings rolls out, throws on the run, threads the needle, and gets a touchdown. Harwell, once again, his 2nd today. So the lone 2 times that the Jayhawks have danced in pay dirt, it has been because of Cummings to Harwell.
Second touchdown for Harwell. 38 straight games. The touch. This is just sprint right option. Harwell's got the option here. He runs a little inside curl. Beats Ryan Reed, and so that's a pretty good connection. Something you could build on. That Cummings to Harwell.
Wyman on to finish the score off. Slices, but gets through. 53-14. So Cummings, who was dropped with a vicious sack and almost coughed the ball up, is able to regain possession for the Jayhawks and march Kansas down the field and in the drive with a touchdown pass.
Yeah, one thing about Cummings, I mean, he has been blasted a couple of times today. He always bounces right up off the turf. I've never seen him linger. I've never seen him look like he's even twinging from any of the hits that he's taken. Not just today, but over the last month that he's played.
He's been tough. Taking a beating today, and we take another look at the touchdown pass.
Threw 2 touchdown passes 2 weeks ago against Texas Tech. He's thrown 2 here today. Nice throw, because that's the only place he can go with that ball. It's low and away from the defender. And I don't care if it's 53-14. You catch your second touchdown pass on the road at Baylor, you got something to smile about.
Cummings, we told you he's been sacked 3 times. 6 hurries along the way. 197 yards now and 2 scores. Levi Norwood there. That's where Baylor will take over.
I think the day will be done for Bryce Petty. His backup Seth Russell, who started a game this year when Petty was dinged up against Northwestern State. Gets the call here. A guy that they really like. Very athletic. Very fast. Not RG3 fast, but the guy that can elude the rush. And
not just really a pocket passer.
No.
First and 10 Baylor at the 17. And the handoff to Jefferson. Well, this is an interesting storyline for Seth Russell, the backup quarterback. A redshirt freshman out of Garland, Texas, had originally committed to go play for Turner Gill and become a Jayhawk, but then Charlie Weiss brought over Dane Christ, and that really made Russell reconsider. He still had his scholarship offer from Kansas, but Weiss brought with him a quarterback that he wanted to play in Christ, who he had at Notre Dame.
Yeah, Josh Heaps.
First down and more. There's Jay Lee.
Let's go!
And for more on all that, we'll go down to the sidelines. Once again, here's Leslie McCaslin.
Well, guys, I had a chance to talk to offensive coordinator Philip Montgomery about Seth before the game. He said, you know, he's not as big as Bryce Petty, but he is athletic. He's got a lively arm, great feet. He said, really, the only thing he is lacking is experience. So he was excited for him to get some more opportunities to play, especially here today.
Well, Leslie, thank you for that. And he's had some chances this year, if for no other reason than you just look at the game-by-game scores for Baylor. Bryce Petty does not play a whole lot of the fourth quarter, both last year and this year. A whistle mid-throw.
Full start. Offense, number 85. 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
That stops the clock with just over a minute to play.
Well, one of the reasons why Baylor has been able to sustain their excellence is when they get these big leads, they get a lot of players, a lot of playing time. And so when they need them, they've got some experience. And we've seen that on the right side of the offensive line. And Pat Colbert starting at right tackle and Jarrell Broxton at right guard. These guys have had a chance to play in a lot of these type of games.
Play action. Deep throw. Sideline right through the hands. Jay Lee was striding into the end zone. Can't hold on.
Have they taken enough deep shots for you today? I mean, my mom always liked the big bomb. And that's what they do. It's just bombs away right here. Straight go routes. Gets behind the defender, and he thought he had his 8th touchdown pass of the season.
For a backup quarterback, Russell's put up some big numbers. Now, do keep in mind, he played the second half of the opening game this season here at home against SMU. Now we get to see the legs a little bit. Nice sidestep there, and he finds the sticks for a first down.
There's an example of what Leslie was just talking about, his athleticism, getting out in the perimeter right here. Little play action fake, he coming around the corner. Got Michael Reynolds to bite, and now beats the corner on the outside.
Pickup of 17 yards. Russell also started week 2, second game of the year, as Bryce Petty had to miss that game against Northwestern State with a back injury that forced him out of the second half against SMU.
Well, Kansas has got Ronnie Davis, a young corner, playing the right corner for Ja'Cory Shepard right now. And they're kind of going after him a little bit.
10 seconds left in the third quarter. Jefferson on the carry that time. He meets Ben Heaney.
Shows timeout.
And an injury.
For an injured player.
That's Andrew Bolton. Fittingly out of Bolton, Mississippi. And this has not been a good day in many ways for Kansas. And the scoreboard is one thing, Baldy, but the injuries that we've seen for the Jayhawks is another.
It's devastating. It's just devastating to a head coach to see your medical staff come out for the 4th time today to look at a player.
It all started with Derek Neal on special team coverage as he took a knee to the helmet from Levi Norwood. He was carted off the field but was sitting upright. Then Keon Stowers, the defensive tackle for the Jayhawks, he had to put on a stretcher and carted off the field. And then, of course, we saw something much more minor or mild than that when Jordy Shelley-Smith tweaked an ankle. But nevertheless, 4th time that we've had to see the training staff for the Jayhawks out of the field. Too much face time.
Well, they weren't a deep team to begin with, and now you start losing frontline starters and some depth here. Pretty soon you're putting players in the game that just aren't ready to play, you know, and so you're going up against a juggernaut like Baylor. It's really tough on a program. You know, if Clint Bowen wants to turn the corner here, and he's got 14 recruits out there that he's trying to hang on to that were committed to Kansas before the season started. They've had a coaching change. You know, where those recruits we've talked about, a guy like Seth Russell, who was scheduled to go to Kansas and, you know, ends up here at Baylor. Like, how many can you hang on to while this head coaching position is in limbo right now?
And we get good news from the hospital. We told you about Stowers earlier. Keon Stowers, he is communicating at the hospital, so things are trending in the right direction for him as Bolton's able to sit upright.
Yeah, I mean, that's the defensive tackle, defensive end position for Kansas. You lose Stowers, and now Bolton here needing help to get up onto his feet.
Now taking a moment and now able to walk off almost on his own power. That's a good sign.
Yeah, went to the junior college ranks to get Andrew Bolton from Hines Community College. Of course, been around for a long time. Great school here in Texas. Cam Newton won the national championship at Hines Community College 4 years ago. 5 years ago, I guess.
Well, that'll do it for the end of the third quarter. We'll step aside here from Waco, Texas. 53-14. Bears on top. Well, Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by Kay Jewelers. Welcome to homecoming weekend here in Waco, Texas, center of the state, as Baylor taking it to Kansas today. KU looking for its first conference win of the season, its first road win of the year as well. 53-14 our score as we open up the gates here in the fourth. Seth Russell, the backup quarterback, now calling the signals with Petty done for the day, and he connects there with Jay Lee. Take a look at our game summary. You can see what Michael Cummings has done for Kansas. He has been pressured. He has been harassed by this front seven for Baylor.
But Baylor has held Kansas to 11 yards total rushing today.
Tipped and incomplete.
A lot of backups in there on the offensive line of Baylor right now. One of my favorite players, Laquan McGowan, the left guard. Biggest left guard I've seen in the country, but a guy that's got some talent, though, too.
6'7". Is that an honest 390?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what he had for a pregame meal or anything like that, but I mean, he moves, though. He just had a good block there.
Inside the 5. Johnny Jefferson.
Had a good down block that time. I don't have to, I mean, look at this block coming down here and kind of moving some white jerseys. Takes the nose tackle down. I mean, that's not a fair fight against Tyler Holmes. Outweighs him by 110 pounds.
Just has to stand up. We saw Devin Chafin do a lot of heavy lifting in the backfield for Baylor today. Also Shock Linwood, of course. But now it is Johnny Jefferson's turn here in the fourth quarter. 3rd and goal. Looks like they were setting up the option. Wow. And in for the touchdown, Seth Russell. Some moves in small spaces there for Russell, who finds the end zone and just adds on to this Baylor lead today.
Well, he made the cut, and he found Greg Allen, the nickel back for Kansas, and just flat out ran him over to the end zone.
3rd touchdown on the ground this year for Russell.
There's Greg Allen, 22, and just put his shoulder down, ran right over him.
I saw Petty lower the shoulder, sniffing for the pylon earlier in the ball game, and Russell looked like he took the page out of that approach. Callahan the extra point. Baylor has dropped a 60 spot on Kansas today here at Waco. We'll step aside.
Sometimes the world is blessed with a man that has that special something. Until the day he's challenged by the moves of another man. Axe Dark and new Axe Gold, 2 irresistible fragrances.
Well, the sun's setting in more ways than one here in Waco, and right now we'll go back to our Fox Sports 1 studio with a game break and Greg Wolf.
All right, thank you guys. Next over on Fox, it's a Pac-12 showdown from Eugene. And for Heisman hopeful Marcus Mariota, it's unfinished business as Stanford is the one Pac-12 team he's yet to beat. It's number 5 Oregon and their kryptonite. Stanford at 7:30 Eastern on Fox. Aaron, Baldy, back to you.
All right, Greg, should be a good one coming up there. You know, Mariota would like to take down the Cardinal. 60 points today for the Baylor Bears. They've scored a touchdown in each of their last 3 possessions. The last time it was backup quarterback Seth Russell diving in from 4 yards out and welcoming some contact along the way too.
Mistakes keep piling up for Kansas.
Right now, let's go down to the field, down to the sideline with Leslie McCaslin. Leslie.
Well, guys, because of the way he plays, because of his leadership, the fan base for Kansas linebacker Ben Heaney is growing. But as head coach Clint Bowen found out just how popular he was this week when his 10-year-old son Baylor said, for Halloween, all I want to dress up as is linebacker Ben Heaney. So when Ben heard about this, he surprised Baylor at his school. He signed autographs, gave out candy. And guys, you see these two together, that's a pretty good costume. I think Baylor had it down to the beard. He looked pretty good as Ben Heaney for Halloween.
He needs to put on a couple of more pounds, but yeah, spitting image other than that.
It'd be a good guy to emulate, you know, as you want to grow up to be a type of player and person that Ben Heaney has become. You might have to go to some costume store, maybe for Duck Dynasty, you know, to be able to find a beard to emulate what Ben has been able to sprout this fall. There's
Avery. Going back to that kickoff, we were talking about special teams, Baldy, and a chance for some great field position for Kansas, but instead of letting the kick go out of bounds, they hold on to it deep in their own territory at this point.
I get the feeling that Ben probably is not going to shave during the season. I don't think that's going to come off. A lot of pride in that. But yeah, I mean, the special teams has not been a strength at all today of Kansas, fumbling a kickoff return in the first quarter. Ja'Cory Shepard, a senior, running out of bounds on a kickoff return.
Cummings hands it off to Avery. Not much going on the ground.
Well, this is the strength of this Baylor team now. I mean, they're getting ready for Oklahoma next week. Oklahoma's got a powerful run game. They got a good runner, and you know they're going to have to use all of this ability to stuff the run, not giving up 3 yards a carry over the course of the season, completely shutting Kansas down. And they'd love to be able to play that style of football against Oklahoma next week.
Little game that'll be for the Bears as their schedule really starts to ramp up after this week. 3rd and 4. Cummings lofts it to the sideline, and the catch is made. Strong hands by Nigel King, a transfer from Maryland. Led the Terrapins last year in touchdown catches.
Well, what's the hit here that Michael Cummings again takes? A free runner coming right up the middle on that play, and so you take a look at that, like how many times can Michael Cummings stay in there and make that type of a throw down the field?
That's Trevor Clemens Valdez.
Yeah.
Big hit and a pretty pass, good for 28 yards.
And what I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it, Michael Cummings bounces right up from all of these hits. Run all the way.
Designed to run, and it's dropped to the backfield, a big loss. That's Trayvon Blanchard.
You know, if you're going to have a design run for Cummings, then the tailback, Corey Avery, on this play has got to be able to throw a lead block. And so he misses the force on that play. And so there's another tackle for a loss. But young freshman like that, hadn't seen that play too many times where he's got to be the lead blocker, and he's got to learn from that.
It has not been a good day on the ground for the Jayhawks. Cummings on 2nd and 14. Back near the original line of scrimmage, and some more yards to be had there. Nick Harwell, who has scored both the touchdowns today for Kansas.
Watch Corey Avery this time. Watch him on the cut here of the corner coming. Watch this one. Now that's a good block. That's a good block. Corner didn't know which way was up on that one. So you miss a block, you come back and you make it. That's a good sign.
Cummings changing things up a little bit. In high school as a standout dual threat quarterback from Central Texas. Flag, catch, out of bounds. Nigel King again. We've seen on this drive especially, Baldy, you put the ball in Nigel King's area, that's some vice grips for hands he's got there.
Well, he's got size. I mean, we know that. We know that he's 6'3", and he's been timing the ball well. He dropped one, but he's made a couple of good catches on this drive.
The ruling on the field is a catch that was subsequently pulled out. Pass interference, defense, number 21. The penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
It's on Patrick Levels.
Well, Levels is 21. He's looking back for the ball. He's trying to find it right now, but you can see that really on that play, King times his jump, and Levels never really adjusts to it.
First and 10 for the Jayhawks. Here's King to about the 20.
You know, one thing about Michael Cummings, you know, he came in West Virginia in the 3rd quarter. Aaron, he completed 47% of his passes. Started against Oklahoma State. Had him really close game in the 4th quarter. Completed 54%. You know, then 2 weeks ago against Texas Tech, he was up to 62%. Today he's rising. I mean, he's getting better at quarterback. Now, the score says yeah, it's a blowout, but you have to look at your own individual performance and look at yourself in the mirror at the end of this, and I think Michael Cummings can hold his head high here.
Cummings got on this drive 4 for 4, nearly 70 yards, looking for the end zone, and another flag. Tion Wright on the coverage that time. Trying to connect with Justin McKay.
Pass interference, defense, number 3. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Well, we're seeing a lot of backups in there right now. Tion Lewis over there at the left corner. So he's trying to find the ball. He gets in front. Just cut off the receiver from the ball. Put his arm out. So they're all learning out there. They're all learning on the job. Bill Bennett doesn't like any of it. Of course, he saw a lot of this 2 weeks ago down in Morgantown and trying to put a stop to a lot of this defensive pass interference.
First and goal for the Jayhawks. They have Darius Crawley, the running back in the backfield now. They hand to Crawley. Big hit there inside the 5, and he keeps going forward.
Darius Crawley, ball carrier.
Crawley kind of, we've seen him at punt returner today. We've seen him out of the backfield. See him carry the ball now for the first time. So just getting kind of a young redshirt freshman some work.
He gives way now to Corey Avery. Second and goal for the Jayhawks, looking for their 3rd touchdown today. Coming to the air, lofts it, jump ball out of bounds.
That's the way to play the ball in the air. Oh, they got a flag on it. That's levels.
Matched up with Nigel King once again.
Personal foul. Chop block. Number 78 and number 6. 15-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Well, just by what Reggie Lewis just said, there was Reggie Smith just said, Mazik was engaged in a defensive lineman, and then Corey Avery came and just cut him down. So we'll take a look here. Over here, this is the right tackle, Mazik. There, he's got his hand on him. Actually, Mazik was getting beat. I don't know if that's a chop block by the definition. Avery went and just cut him because he had a free run to the quarterback.
Cummings, a strike and a catch, dragged down just shy of the goal line. Justin McKay. McKay, an interesting story, a former 4-star recruit, signed with Oklahoma, then transferred closer to home when he went to Kansas, wanted to be closer to his family. His grandmother was ailing. McKay from Kansas City, Missouri.
Michael Cummings completing over 75% of his passes, or right at 75% of his passes here on this 3rd down.
Give to Avery, not going anywhere. Grant Campbell meets him immediately.
There was no place for Corey Avery to go. He stuck it in there, put his pads down, and braced himself for a big hit. Of course, they're going to go for it on 4th down. I got no problem putting the ball in Cummings' hands and throwing a jump ball to one of these receivers. Harwell's got 2 touchdown catches on the day. Five for 5 on this drive. Maybe try to make it 6 for 6.
4th and goal to the 2. Cummings back corner, overthrows his man. Looking that time for Mundine to tie it in. He's had a pretty quiet day. Some good pressure applied there by Grant Campbell.
Yeah, Grant Campbell came free and put the boom on Cummings. Really kind of affected that throw.
Turnover on downs. We're back in a moment from Waco. Well, not long from now, 7:30 Eastern, it will be Texas versus Texas Tech in Lubbock. We'll get you there as soon as this one's over with. In the meantime, it'll start on Fox Sports 2 and also on Fox Sports Go.
2, 3, and 5 teams trying to get a Big 12 victory. Trying to improve in the second half of the season coming down the stretch.
Texas trying to get to a bowl this year.
Yeah. See if Davis Webb is healthy enough to go today. Dinged up last week.
Now 98 yards to go for Seth Russell. Play action. Long strike. Forget about the scoreboard. They're still going for it all. This time aiming for Lynx Hawthorne. And as we look at the Big 12 standings entering today.
Well, you can see that TCU winner in West Virginia today, coming from behind, down 13 in the second half, and they stay alive here. Obviously, their only loss was to the Baylor Bears, so something to watch and track here as time goes on.
Johnny Jefferson getting the handoff and getting about to the 10. Ball comes out, but the whistle signals that he's down. Brian, what do you make of this Baylor offense? Philip Montgomery, the offensive coordinator, of course, and this mentality of who cares that it's 60-14? Go get it.
It is. It's in the day and age of you're trying to climb in these rankings. I mean, you're trying to. We saw TCU put up 82 at Texas Tech. I mean, these backups, they want to run the offense. They want a chance like the starters do. And it's the old, football axiom that if you don't like it, then do something about it and stop it. But I do think there's a place for sportsmanship and, just calling, slowing things down and running the clock. And they could get a lot of Johnny Jefferson, some carries right here, and a lot of these backup linemen that are in there, get them some work and some run blocking. They don't have to be looking to complete the long go routes that we saw Bryce Petty do today.
Jefferson that time with the first down carry, his 6th carry of the day. Nearly 30 yards completed and close there to a first down. Well, what's going on with that TCU West Virginia game? Right now we'll send things back to the studio. Greg Wolf with his Fox Sports 1 studio update. Greg?
All right, guys, thanks. Yeah, number 20 West Virginia had number 7 TCU on the ropes, but with seconds left, Jaden Obercrom connects from 37 yards out, and the Horned Frogs survive on the road in Morgantown, 31-30. They're 7-1 on the season. Aaron Baldy, back to you.
Greg, thank you. How about that?
What a turnaround for Gary Patterson and his group of Horned Frogs in the year that Trevon Boykin is having.
Russell keeps himself, only needed a yard. He gets it and gets the first down.
Think about TCU here, Aaron. I mean, 3 weeks ago they had a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter against Baylor and kind of blew that.
What a game that was.
What a game it was, and Art Briles loved it, but that's the only blemish on TCU's record right now.
Quick pass to Hawthorne, trying to dance around some tacklers. Hawthorne hasn't played in 3 games. His last catch was on September 27th at Iowa State, a 49-28 win for Baylor.
What a great first name, though, Lynx. Just think about it. Lynx sort of describes the speed that these Baylor receivers run their routes with.
Seems like they're all burners, and we've seen between Russell and Petty, we've seen about 8 different receivers make a catch, and that number might have climbed to even 9. And off to Jefferson, weaving through, first down midfield into Kansas territory. And he is furious, and he doesn't get more. Fitz Smithson is the savior for a tackle there.
Well, he broke free. He ran right behind McGowan right there. Now he's off to the races, and I'll bet Johnny Jefferson in Killeen, Texas didn't get caught from behind very often.
23-yard gain. Going back to the receivers, we've run out of fingers. It's officially 10 different Baylor receivers who have caught a pass in this one tonight.
Well, they share the football here. You play in this offense, you're going to get your opportunities, you're going to get your numbers.
Handoff going right, close to the first down. That is Nasita, Silas Nasita. Well, coming up next, our full day of college football continues as the Texas Longhorns take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders, followed by 17th-ranked Utah squaring off against 14th-ranked Arizona State. Coverage continues next on Fox, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And that Texas Tech-Texas game starting right now on Fox Sports 2. Fox Sports Go as well.
Chris Johnson in at quarterback right now.
So 3 deep now, QB3. Anthony Webb on the carry. Now Baylor getting everybody involved. Under 3.5 to play in the ball game.
Well, you said, what do you think about, Baylor and the go routes? Well, I mean, they've got the third-team quarterback in there right now, and I don't know what number running back it is. I mean, they're going right through their depth chart and giving everybody some opportunities here on homecoming weekend. Give them something to celebrate at the big dance tonight with.
It's Nasita back in the backfield. The handoff to Nasita, able to change direction. First down inside the 20 and forced out of bounds just shy of the 5. Isaiah Johnson forces him out of bounds. Everybody in the mix for the Bears tonight. Pickup of 28.
We put up a graphic earlier in the game about under Art Briles, the number of All-Pros and All-Americans that he has coached here. I mean, the talent level just continues to improve, and you can see it in the depth of this team right now.
Now it's Anthony Webb in the backfield. One to snap. Johnson gets it just in time. The hand of Webb, and he's not going anywhere. Wrapped up in the backfield.
Victor Simmons on that tackle. Haven't called Victor's name very much here this afternoon.
Now for Baylor, this is now the 4th time this year they've scored at least 60 points. Northwestern State got it started. That was 76. At Buffalo, 63-21. The TCU game, Baldy was mentioning, 61-58. You can see they're still 2 shy of last year's total. They've had 8 different players run the football in this one.
Well, they're going to see 2 very good defensive teams in the next month. They're going to see Oklahoma next week, and they're going to see a Kansas State Jayhawk team that plays tonight against Oklahoma State. We'll see them a month from now.
5-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
Sixth penalty tonight for Baylor. Much improved over their performance in Morgantown at 18.
Here they look like they're just going to take a knee here for the rest of the game. All the offensive linemen kind of bunched up. Well, maybe not. Now they spread out a little bit. Okay.
Nasita met immediately, able to keep twisting forward. Nice desire run there. Well, Fox Sports University is a program bringing the real world into the classroom. Baylor University is in its 2nd year participating in the program, which now spans 27 schools all the way across the country. The winning group from Baylor's class last year included number 32 Colin Simpson, playing for the Baylor football team in today's game. For more information on Colin Spencer, his group project, and Baylor's involvement with Fox Sports News, all you have to do is just go to foxsportsuniversity.com. Under a minute to play. Number 13 Baylor looking to go to 7-1 of the season, and victory formation has never run so true as this one tonight. As Baylor on its homecoming, a convincing win, and Brian, this was roughly the game that probably many expected in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Baylor's a better team, and they showed it. They executed really well. They forced a lot of turnovers. That's something that Art Briles was looking for, getting the ball back to his offense, and they balanced it up. I mean, Kansas has a long ways to go. They've got to make a decision on where they're going to go with the head coach. Michael Cummings has nothing to really hang his head about. A couple of fumbles today, but he competed. He threw the ball better than he has, and he keeps improving.
We'll step aside. We'll be back in just a moment from Waco as the Baylor Bears pick up the win. Back in a moment. It was a rough one today for Kansas, but a sweet homecoming weekend for the Baylor Bears, 60-14. As we take a look at today's Academy Sports and Outdoor Ranked Up Player of the Game, Baldy Corey Coleman.
It didn't take long. I mean, the first touchdown of the game for Baylor. Just a little hit screen, but you can see the 2 touchdowns and 3 long plays. This one over Isaiah Johnson for a touchdown. He made it look easy. Only 3 catches, but 167 yards, 2 touchdowns.
So Baylor does what many thought they would. They scored 60 points in this one today. Big thanks to all who made this one possible. Brian Baldinger, Leslie McCaslin. I'm Aaron Goldman for our whole crew. We'll step aside. You're off to Texas and Texas Tech next.